all misfits to this episode of Skeptic and Ranting, the Absurdity of Atheism, where tonight we are watching a video called The Absurdity of Atheism. Chris Avell from the channel Bible Study Weekly on Zoom. Sounds very COVID inspired. Along with our commentary on top. So won't you join James W. and myself, Amy Newman, for a crazy good time.
Absurd good time.
Absurd. Woohoo! What
How's
is
everybody
up,
doing?
everyone out
Good to see
there
you
on
guys.
the interwebs? Pew, pew, pew. And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe, because you then gain access to that bell icon, which when hit to all will give you reminders to see our premieres or join our live streams. What is up, Intertubes? Mwah. I can't even believe how they fit it in there, but if you shove, you eventually can get anything
That's in
through
the
there.
after show.
Da, da, da.
That's
But-
right, Mark. Talking
Oh,
snakes makes good sense. Talking ants too. That's all fine and dandy.
exactly. If you think about it, talking snakes is just pure science, and then when the speed of light, kind of absurd if you think about it.
I mean, after all, atheism can't tell you why the universe exists, can it?
No, that's just scientism. We can just tell you basically all facts come from science, but that we know of so far. You know, you
Oh.
can have a few logical syllogisms, but even then, you gotta test them.
No, philosophy over everything. Everything is philosophy. Remember that
Now-
fun video?
I'm just going to keep on saying it. I'm starting to learn that atheists, agnostics, non-believers should just learn philosophy so we can debunk much of the bullshit that gets spread out by theologians, apologists, the pushers of nonsense. That being said, if you would like to discern fact from fiction, well, have you heard of science? Order now. It's free. You can be peer reviewed at any time. Go ahead, do it.
Newman will be happy to peer review you.
Oh my. On your knees, on my knees, on Gavin's knees. But yes, we are a skeptic channel, including the
Hey, Pat.
two schmucks that you see before you. What's up? However, we want to give everyone the chance to say what's on their mind, including those that disagree with our own, and we'll give those at the end of the topic their own opening closing statements during the open mic. This housekeeping is, of course, sponsored by our Patreons at patreon.com/Amy Newman, which helps us make even more fun content, including awesome Patreons like us from the Atheist
Hey,
Roundtable and Network
Thanks, Oz.
Group. Woohoo! Dun, 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 dun. And have done just an LGBTQ plus talk-in show that
Those are
you
always
guys
good.
should all check out with basically a fantastic, fabulous panel at youtube.com/the Atheist Network Group. We've had
There's a few now.
Jugazis, Beck, and student Dr. Ben, were both on the panel. You should all check them out. And not only that, but we've had Beck and student Dr. Ben on here, and they are amazing. Woo-hoo, but
Good
sending
people,
love
good
to
people.
us. Dum, 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 dum. Who were also sending love. Hashtag to better, which tickets on sale now, which you guys should all be checking out. And sending love to Ian Davenport.
Thanks again.
Leveling up in the non-believer community as we listen to lots of these nonsensical religious claims.
Oh boy,
my lordy.
have we got a whopper for you guys tonight?
Yeah, well, I always find the claims that whenever they can promise me a 100% certainty of conversion, or they're going to prove that we're crazy.
Absurd. They're going to demolish atheism.
And gosh forbid if we do the same.
Mm.
Oh my. And we should, we shouldn't straw man their positions. We should take the higher ground. I have the high ground now, Anakin. I don't even know what you could do. Anyway, sending love to Ian Davenport. And that's why you never go Sith. And sending love to
Until you do.
Gus. I know.
Thanks,
you fall in love with the bad boys. I understand. Padawan.
There you go.
I get you, girl. But
don't do it, Anakin.
Don't do it, Anakin.
Yeah, he does it anyway. Gets destroyed. Yeah.
Cat overlords.
Don't do it, Newman.
Don't do it. Though I will stand by my hypothesis that, speaking of pseudoscientific conspiracy theories, I still stand by it should have been Darth. It should have been Darth Jar Jar Binks. I stand by this. It would have been the greatest twist ever, and it would have made him a 4D chess master instead of...
Yeah, I don't know.
But I love you,
just
George.
Take absurdity and pack more absurdity. Yeah.
I think, and it's funny, I've seen, to not nerd out too much, I've seen, documentaries, how, he wanted a certain type of new character, and people criticized him for the new character, and he's like, fuck you, I'm going to make that new character. Exactly, and you're going to love it, and it's basically, you're going to see that the audience wins them over, and the more he kind of pushed, the more people were like...
And the first movie, people hated Jar Jar, and he was just going to double down and give him even more time in the second movie. Just give the fans a double middle finger, but then he had
you see what he did is he made him. You can't just make him an ambassador, because if you're making him the silly clown and then all of a sudden he is this thing, it would have been. I still stand by it. You go evil. You go look. I love good deeds as much as the next person, but in character development, Georgie, I love you. But I can't help it. It's been on my mind today. You also, spoiler alert for later. Sending love also to Diana Smith. Woohoo! Reminding us, oh no, they definitely treat both genders very equal. So equal that some of the genders get to go before the others. Sending love, Diana.
I'm sure it was random.
It was random. I know. Well, as James says often, they were paid. The scribes were paid by the word count. So they really just had to... You couldn't just say people that we owned as human property or slaves. You had to really just get every word. Male servant, female servant. Make sure which order is correct.
I mean, everything's got an order to it, right?
Exactly. And we also sometimes we'll get the apologetic that's like, oh, well, that's just how they did it. Sometimes the culture... No, there were actually, not to get too feministic on you, but there are cultures that also did it the other way. So, Sending love also. I see him out there. To Pat
Hey, Pat.
Langer.
Thanks, Grumpy. Thanks, Pat.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Pat. Says, pretty good. Things are getting back to normal. Fairly busy week. Good things happening on the YouTubes, was Amy Newman would say.
On the YouTube.
On the
The
YouTube.
YouTube atheist community. YouTube
Well,
atheist.
and we are. I am sending love to all the Twitch love out there, but we are the YouTube atheist community. We're the non-believer really community. I really do extend the branches to all out there. It is great to just have a replacement because it's really you take that away from religion and yeah, you have a guy and a giant fish. I think that can't say a whale. First of all, I love that apologetic because there is no fish that big and there are whales. I don't get it. Like somehow the thing that doesn't exist, they're like, oh, there's a giant fish there. That makes way more sense. Why?
Maybe a prehistoric fish that doesn't exist anymore, that never fossilized. I don't know.
Well, and
a magic fish.
A magic fish. And was that a fish that died out from natural selection? Evolutionary
Probably during the flood.
During the flood. Oh, that's right. Well, why would it die from the flood, though? It would have loved the flood. Fish should have they would have been like, oh my God, are you blessing us? What is this? There's a lot of food at the top that's screaming, but I feel like it's going to be great in just like
maybe they were over the
a few hours.
Maybe they were over the land when the flood receded and they got beached. I don't know.
I know. Them and the unicorns. But sending so much love to Pat and sending love to Dale Pastel. I mean,
thank you, Dale.
We're consistently looking for the only thing that we can't have. We're just so naughty. Can't have empirical evidence.
Naughty Amy.
Oh, my.
How dare you for even asking for it?
James,
you're asking
you need
for
to
what
use.
You know they're not going to be able to provide. You're not being honest.
I would say if you're not using a tool that's pre-enlightenment error, I mean, what are you even doing? Basically, you need to use the same types of tools that the Amish have. If not, then you're probably doing it wrong.
Well, like Ralph says, blind faith is better than evidence.
Faith. What a great thing to have. It leads us into so many buildings. Places. Oh, the places you'll go with faith.
They used to be buildings.
They used to, exactly. But sending love to Dale Pastel and Digar, reminding us that yes, the earth is indeed round. It's so funny listening to Bill Burr rant. Like, I used to be a conspiracy theory guy, and now I get like people coming to me telling me the earth has a dome around it. And he talks about basically how you need to understand curvature while you're flying a helicopter, because Bill Burr has his helicopter license. And so yes, don't believe me, ladies and gentlemen. Take it from Bill Burr. Or get your helicopter license, as he said, and then you won't actually spend so much money trying to rent a boat, get yourself out to Ice Dome.
I mean, so many fields rely on or take into account the curvature, like radio and broadcast engineers, like how they set up their antennas and everything to maximize their range. With curvature, with line of sight, they take all that into account. All over the place, almost every field, there's some application where you gotta take that curvature into account.
Exactly, it's multiple overlapping fields.
Gotta take the Coriolis effect into account. Long-range snipers do, you know.
Oh, but James, what do they know? Once again, when it comes to actual experts, when you need to actually know things. But I'm sure it's a massive conspiracy. Also, sending love to Dave Carr, sending love to Scott Duke, sending love to Scott, who reminds us that, first of all, sending love to Answers in Atheism, who I need to just keep on. So we need to go back on the fantastic weather report. And Scott reminds us that you shouldn't look down on hyenas. You shouldn't look down on other animals. I always love that it's a numerous creationist thing. There's humans here and animals here. A big line, just a big totally old separate category. Exactly. And I should really not do this, because really what theists mean is humans here, animals here. That's what they really mean.
I mean, if God wanted to do it, he could have designed animals and then used a completely different genetic system to make humans, to clearly distinguish the difference there. He could have made, he didn't have to use DNA for the animals, or he could have came up with something different for humans to clearly delineate us.
And we need to do an entire podcast on just genetics, on DNA. I'm tired.
Dr. Dan wants to come back on.
Fantastic. Let's bring him on. Because
evolutionary biology.
I am just so tired of these pseudo-biologists that really kind of go hard. I'll say Sal is real. Sal's a real biologist. But most of the armchair biologists out there have no idea what they're talking about. And so it hurts me. Sending love to Scott Duke. Sending love to Regos, who reminds us we had a Skeptic Bible study.
Hey, Regos.
Woo-hoo! What is up, Regos? That makes me want to go. Doot. Yeah, what is up, Regos? Which reminds me, and I'm going to pin while we have that up there, we are looking for active chatters and mods out there in the Twitchosphere. They're voluntary. You just have to ask. But we're looking for people to actually have a good old time, because we're triple streaming, believe it or not. We are also streaming on the Facebooks, the YouTubes, and the Twitches. Not it. Tag. Woo-hoo. You saying the genetic code is literally
a code?
Yeah. Another talking point, another narrative, as if there is literally a creator that's just standing there like, I want to make Becky have like brown hair. Boop. Doesn't happen.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, Pat. So, a $2 super chat, and we are sending so much love. He says, well, dividing line equals the goofy face made during organism. Okay, let me reread that, because my mind took that in a completely different direction.
You read it the right way. I read it the more YouTube correct way.
Gotcha.
No, you read it right.
We're sending so much love, Pat.
You read it right.
Listen,
I was,
we are trying to sin as much as possible. And I will say, isn't sinning such a funny notion? The notion that you could even offend a god?
Yeah.
You got hurt feelings.
They have like my moral values that are perfect, and even though I made them not automatically to have the same moral values as I do, but mine are better.
Mine are way better than yours. Also, objectively, even though a little bit of that slavery that we saw last night, and a little bit of that sacrificing, animal sacrifices. Good old science.
Childhood marriages.
And sending love. I also have to say, and you guys all should check out Tang. It was my fault just because of so much that was going on, that so much got pushed back. I think it was originally supposed to go live at much sooner, but we're on Amy time, ladies and gentlemen. Amy time.
Newman. Yep.
But hey, you should be checking out all of the non-believer community. That is the great thing about the YouTubes, is that we can go back and watch each other's content, promote it, be there for each other, and just sending love. We're almost have to do this stream as something cathartic, because what happens is James shows me something and I go, really? They're not okay. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna show it. We're gonna show it to the world.
I find the best of the best. The
best of the best. Listen, my resting face, I would say, is this. What? No, never. I'm sending love, so sending so much love once again, Pat, for the support. Thanks, and the love. We're sending it right back. And sending love also to Rachel Holland. Woohoo! Sending love, Rachel. Reminding us, of course, that the Bible would never consent to taking people from other nations without their consent. Would it? No.
I mean,
it's a works program.
Maybe they consented. Unknowingly consented.
I imagined there was a consent. It was like, would you like to check the box? A giant sword in the face. B, not that, but slavery.
Well, I mean, there you go. That's free. That's a free will choice, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's like worship me forever or burn in hell. But it's your choice. It's up to you. What do you want to do? I'm not trying to force you to worship me or anything.
Which is funny. The only concept I've ever found of free will so far in the Bible is a free will offering, which doesn't sound.
Which you better make that free will offering. You better make that offering.
James, let me tell you, how much do you want to make that free will offering? I bet you do.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, sending love to Senator Cato. Thank you, Rachel, and thank you, Senator Cato, for reminding us that we're trying to separate church and state, or rather protect church and state, the separation of.
Protect the church from the state and the state from the church.
Yes, it goes both ways, as do I.
Hey, Rachel out there in chat. Good to see you.
Woohoo! Sending so much love, Rachel. And sending love to the queen of production. Sending love. She is out there supporting all the non-believers. Jenna! Woohoo! Sending love. Hashtag Tangangyo. Basically because we don't schism. Isn't that a funny concept? We don't have to have holy wars. We
just do it for fun.
Well, and a lot of people ask, why even do we do this? And I'll tell you
guys
why.
Spend more time talking about God than the believers.
And I'll tell you why. And it goes hand in hand with comedy, because you would think maybe it's a weird mix, but I'll give you a little secret, and I learned it from Professor M. Mathers, which was the truth to anything in good art. You just need a little bit of youthful exuberance, fancy word for energy, and you need anger. And the funny thing about that, because I don't particularly find myself an angry person, and yet, man, when you hear the world is 6,000 years old, when you hear that there's a person watching us 365, 24/7 and cares who we have sex with,
what makes you... dinosaurs are a hoax?
Oh my God. Dinosaurs are a hoax. Humans rode with dinosaurs. The Flintstones were a documentary. Exactly. It makes
global floods that never happened.
Yeah, well, and global flood is such a silly claim. Oh my. Because floods happen. It's always like when they're like, I believe in climate change. Climate changes all the time. Yes, we get it. Ha 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 ha.
I mean, like every time it's cold out and they say, what global warming? It's cold out.
Snow, ha ha.
For 1 day.
I believe in floods. I do not believe in global floods because that is really silly. In fact, once again, the science presented for this, James, I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but did you know that a book said a thing? I don't know if you were aware of that.
It did, yeah. I mean, and now we just have to arbitrarily choose to believe what that book says is true and disregard what all the other holy books say, because you see, they're not from God, but this one that you were just holding up, is from God. That's how you know that it's true.
Specifically, everyone else and the other Scotsmen, they have it wrong. Our religion, I believe, with faith,
and
has it right.
The other 40,000 denominations of Christianity, they're closer. Some of them are pretty close, but they're not quite right there. And even in my own denomination, there's a few things I don't quite agree with.
Even on the guy in the pew next to me.
You have 300 people in the church, and I guarantee you they will all disagree about something.
Well, and that is the funny thing. The objective book, no one seems to objectively agree on. But last but certainly not least, James Wolfe reminds us of our late night midnight rantings, which is what we are doing on this Skeptic and Ranting, sending love to Jenna, sending love to James Wolfe, because Hawoo is the closer we get to midnight, the closer the symptoms worsen that I become carrot tops. Yeah, it is terrible. What? Okay. Anyway, sending love to all of our Patreons out there. You, along with all of the people in chat, our mods, and of course viewers like you, make this channel even possible.
We love you guys.
And before we get to the opposing view, and it is a whopper of an opposing view. So I feel like there is a piece of me that's like, it may be a short open mic. There's a piece of me that's like, man, this dude is gonna make a whole bunch of atheists join. We'll see, ladies and gentlemen.
It is 3, but sometimes we pick up around 4 or 5 in the morning. You never know what's going to happen. We do
as I
get that boost.
As a wise man in the sand once said, he who controls the spice controls the universe. But yes.
I think wasn't it he who controls the mice, not Spike?
That too. I actually think rats and mice are adorable. Another triggering point for theists and creationists sometimes is like, oh, you think we're not related to a single cell, an amoeba, a mouse? Yes, let's start
Like
with
when
a
Smokey
mouse.
calls people rats.
They're very smart. They're highly
rat roach
intelligent.
hybrids.
Yeah. Oh, okay. It's so silly. But
Rat roach hybrid.
But we're sending love out there into the universe, and before we see the opposing view, da 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 da, do. The absurdity of atheism sounds like a lecture by a youth pastor who has his hat on backwards. Absurdity is the quality or state of being ridiculous or wildly unreasonable. Is atheism either of these? Well, no. In fact, without good evidence for a God, the most reasonable position is to not believe that one exists. And the irony, of course, is that we get so many downright silly miracle claims that come by our doorstep day in and day out. Talking snacks. Talking burning bushes. Oh, and a talking God telling us specifically which people to invade. And that's just a new hope. The Empire Strikes Back has a man walking on water. That water turning into wine, and then a nice gefilte fish, I assume, gets shot out of his you know where to help feed the people, of course. That's before we get to the whole man coming back from the dead thing. But oh, it's not like Return of the Muhammad makes things any better. Talking ants, flying winged creatures, and a prophet who didn't need air to fly to the moon so that he could cut that bitch in half, or at least get a really deep cut. You know, because everything I keep listing sure sounds like science, doesn't it? So when I hear the phrase, the absurdity of atheism, I wonder if what they really mean is, I'm scared of death. Because that's what all this afterlife nonsense is all about. Or at least the carrot and stick keeps people in these inane and, colloquially speaking, insane beliefs. I better get into heaven. Oh, and you definitely want to avoid hell because this life is a test by the celestial squid game vendor in the sky. I think I'll pass because if that type of dude can't give me a handshake or do something better with his hands, then I have no use for him. He's not all powerful, maximally powerful. I mean, he's not even Doug at the 7-Eleven powerful, who can both give me access to the bathroom and a much sexier physical relationship than any deity seems possible of doing. Thank you. And all right, with that, and
Welcome
before
back.
we get into the opposing view, James, we are skeptic. We are skeptic and ranting. James W., what is up, and what are your thoughts? Are we going to have a crazy good time?
Well, we're in store for a good ride, I'll tell you that much. It's going to be fun. There's going to be a lot of nonsense being thrown at you from multiple different directions, but we're going to be here to make sense of it all. And yeah, is atheism absurd? I don't think so. Is withholding belief on something you don't have a good reason to believe absurd? Of course not. That's the responsible thing to do. That's the critical thinking approach, is if you don't have good reason to believe something, you probably shouldn't believe it. That's how we all navigate through everything else in life, aside from theists change everything when it comes to religion, and they don't have good evidence. They just believe it because they want to believe it. They like it. But none of them really have any good reasons to believe it other than faith. They like it. Like Amy said, they don't want death to be final. They want a way to get out of that, or at least a way to ease their fears of it. I think there's a good chunk of them anyway who probably know that what they believe is not true, but they hope, and that hope keeps them going. It's wishful thinking. Everybody engages into it to a certain degree, but these guys take it to the maximal level. Anyway, let's get into the video. Don't forget, Amy's going to show she has a debate with Ken Hovind next week. I've got a debate with Ken Hovind 2 weeks from now. May 20th, Standing for Truth, Friday night. Don't miss it. And when is yours, Amy? I think it's next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
Okay.
So be there. I'm aware, and let's have something fair. I'm trying to think of something funnier, but all I can do is care.
Have fun with a bear.
Have fun with a bear. And all right. We are about to no. I have to do jazz hands, but we are Here we go. That's better now. Oh. Jazz hands are almost
We're
done.
going, Demon. We're going. She's moving as fast as she can.
There we go. And with that, I would like to send love into the chat. We are now going to hear from the opposing view, or rather, the absurdity of atheism by Chris Avell. But if you have your questions, comments, or one-liners, please feel free to tag James W. or myself in chat at Amy Newman. It helps us find and see it and show it. So sending love, and without further ado, the absurdity
Let's have some more ado.
of atheism.
I did have a technology fail this morning. It's morning here in the States, and so I don't have my PowerPoint, but that's okay.
That's okay.
That's okay.
I'm not as clever with it as I'd like to be anyhow. So
Pray for knowledge.
With the PowerPoint? I mean, I hate to break it to you, buddy, but PowerPoint has been around for a long time. I'm not going to criticize.
Why don't you just pray for PowerPoint?
Pray for PowerPoint.
Start off by saying I'm going to talk today about the absurdity of atheism. And I'm not an expert, so I'm not a scientist with any big degree behind my name. I'm not a
and actually, I would like to give everyone an expert level in PowerPoint advanced technology course. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Please don't post paragraphs. There you go.
Oh,
no biblical scholar or anything like that. I'm just a guy who used to be an atheist, as Judy brought out, and now happened to find myself.
Do you know what he was? Oh, Satan! How dare you! But do you know what this gentleman was in fact? If I do say,
he used to be an atheist. Yeah.
Yes, what he used to be. While it's reloading through it.
Oh, an inner circle atheist.
He was in fact
I did have a technology fail
atheist.
this morning. It's morning here in the States, and so I don't have my PowerPoint, but that's okay. I'm not as clever with it as I'd like to be anyhow. So let me first start off by saying I'm going to talk today about the absurdity of atheism. And I'm not an expert, so I'm not a scientist with any big degree.
First of all, can you imagine being an expert in atheism? But okay, continue.
We're not experts either, so there you go.
A noted biblical
I can answer
scholar
all your
like
IT
I'm
questions.
just a guy who used to be an atheist, as Judy brought out, and now happened to find myself a pastor, which is something I never expected in life, being an atheist. So I'm kind of going to.
I bet being a pastor pays better, though.
A lot of questions. So the idea is for you to really ask questions and me answer your questions. But I'm going to look at 3 ideas, kind of I would challenge Christians with in atheism. The first one being prove God, right? I would often run into Christians and they'd make the claim that God exists, right? And so I'd say, well, if God exists, prove God. And I'd kind of make this statement: the burden of proof is on you because you're making a positive claim, right? So if someone's claiming something, it's up to them to prove it exists. And so the idea was, hey, if God exists, prove God. Of course, most Christians I knew had a hard time proving God at all, to my satisfactory as an atheist. Of course, I never ran into it, or I would have changed my thinking there, but that's not the way it happened. The second would be kind of the question of evil and suffering. Again, a question I really would challenge Christians with when I was an atheist, and a question I see
which is
coming
funny.
Up still.
One of the reasons, just evidence, maybe that what James was just saying. I find the problem of evil is not very hard for atheists to accept, and just because the notion of an evil God, we can believe that. No, we can understand that. But for whatever reason, Christians, theists, often have a hard time. How could God be good? He's all good. Does it say that in the Bible? Well, sure, all good, definitely. Rainbows, lollipops, and unicorns.
Very commonly today is kind of the idea is, right, if there's God and he's good, why is there suffering and evil in the world? And the third one being, well, if there is a God, which God, right? Because there's all kinds of gods. And I, in fact, remember, I don't know who originated the quote, but I would hear from an atheist who I used to follow named Christopher Hitchens. He would say,
"Oh, just a guy."
I know. I love that the first time. He's like, "Oh, there was this small YouTube channel. I think his name was Christopher Hitchens."
Yeah, you might have heard of him. Maybe you know who he is.
Like you're an atheist, I'm an atheist, you're a Zeusist, and you're you're a whateverist. I just believe in one God less.
Also, I forget which comedian. As Bill Burr, I had to bring him up twice. That every hate mail he gets consistently follows the same format. It's split into two parts. The first part is the preamble, and the preamble is them prefacing how much they love comedy. I love comedy. I've been the biggest fan of comedy. I have been at the outskirts. I am the edgelord supreme on all sorts of comedy. However, this one thing that I have found, truly, it just, I can't, and I am no longer your fan. It's like, okay, you had to, we get it. You were an atheist. Were you a skeptic? Because I'm highly skeptical of.
That's like when I think that like preamble thing that follows into like everything. Like I used to manage restaurants, and everybody would come up to you and say, look, they've all ran restaurants for 20 years. Every single, like, look, no, I know how it is. I ran a restaurant for 15 years, or, oh, I did this for 15 years. I know everything that what you're doing is wrong, or they're all experts in it.
And I will say, I'm seeing some of the people in chat. I think the problem of evil is a fantastic argument to use against theists. I think that it is easy for atheists to understand a evil God. I think it's conceptually hard for many of the Abrahamic religions to conceptualize that. And thus it is a good tool to show why a all good God is not. If that's the God you believe in, then it doesn't seem to exist.
I don't think it's particularly effective with most theists, because I think they have plenty of workarounds and ways that they dodge that issue. I guess from a purely philosophical standpoint, it probably is a valid objection to God.
But see, I hear theists bring it up all the time, like as one of the reasons that they struggle with. And so I think if you bring up, they may have to say this is something you struggle with and then explore why. But yeah, he's setting himself up. So let's get, he's trying to give his credentials. He was an inner circle atheist. He's sounding very
There's a God, which God we believe in. So that's kind of the path we're going to go along today. So hopefully you can follow me, even though I don't have notes and on the screen. So I'm going to read first from Romans 18:1.
All right, break out that Bible.
This is took out the science.
This might be common to you, but this is kind of where we're going to start looking at our study today on proof of God and what that looks like, how we deal with the atheist, or if you are an atheist, why what you believe, I believe, is absolutely nuts. I'm using harsh language, but I believe that's true. I believe if you're an atheist, you think something that's so crazy, you don't even really believe you believe it.
There you go. Atheism is so crazy, you don't even believe that you believe it. Yes, totally. It makes way more sense that a being that's watching us 24/7, 365. That makes way more sense. Also, can we just go back to every miracle claim? Every one. I really want to know which one is their strongest, because the further back you go, the sillier they seem to get. Well, I shouldn't even say that, because the new ones are silly too. For whatever reason, they
just seem to be less often, and yeah.
Well, I would say I give more. I give more credit to them not being frauds and more being wrong. How about that? In that I believe that the goat herders truly believe that they had no idea what was going on, and so making shit up was the best that they could do.
They had an excuse.
But if you believe in Joseph Smith now, oh man. Then again, they are incels. So that's you hide information from believers, and it's.
I think you'd have to be indoctrinated like something like Mormonism as a child to have a rational way of belief. I can't imagine somebody being an adult and just coming across Mormonism and thinking, "Oh wow, yeah, wow, this Joseph Smith guy was a prophet of God.
He definitely had it all right.
Oh, he really had it right with this polygamy, the fundamentalist Mormon temples marrying 12 and 13-year-old girls off to middle-aged men. Oh,
which
great.
Is another thing religion seems to have a problem with, whether you're Catholic, Muslim, Mormon. Oh my. Oh, the wonders of religion.
Justify it.
But yeah, the gloves have been officially thrown down. So we're going to have to throw our own gloves back on and jump in the absurdity of
Put the
atheism.
gloves on, Amy.
Oh my.
So here's what Romans has to say about this. Paul writes, he says, the wrath of God is being revealed from heaven against all the godlessness and wickedness of people who suppress the truth by their wickedness. Since what may be known about God is plain to them, because God has made it plain to them. So there's a claim there that God has made himself.
So here's the claim: the wrath of God is revealed against all unrighteousness. But wait a minute, there's a lot of fucked up things going on in the world, and God doesn't seem to be doing a damn thing about it. He doesn't seem to be lifting one finger. So the wrath of God is doing absolutely nothing. There's people out there doing all manner of evil things, not just the things that they call evil, like being gay, but actually doing things that hurt people, and God's not doing a damn thing about it.
Damn thing. I also love the claim that God told us in the Bible that it'll be revealed to us, and therefore it is revealed to us. How can you get any more clear than that?
The Bible says the Bible's right. Oh, it's true because it says it's true. Well, how do we know? Because it's the word of God. Because it says it's the word of God. So it can't be wrong because it's the word of God.
Claim. It's a very interesting claim. It says this, for since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, so it's saying he has invisible qualities, his eternal power and his divine nature.
Aren't all his qualities invisible?
Invisible qualities.
Aren't they all invisible?
Is that a quality? Isn't or is that a lack of a quality? But yeah, if you can't,
Amy, your invisible qualities are just amazing.
They're always like God is in the non-existent plane. I'm like,
we agree.
Yeah, we agree.
He's so invisible. He's
so
not
invisible.
Even real.
Yeah.
Clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse. For although they knew God, they neither glorified him as God nor gave thanks to him.
Glorify me,
but
Daddy.
their thinking became futile, or worthless would be the word, and their foolish heart were darkened. Although they claimed to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like mortal human beings and birds and animals and reptiles.
He's taking pot
Therefore,
shots
God
at
gave
idols.
them over to the sinful desires of their hearts, to sexual impurity for the degrading of their bodies with one another. They exchanged the truth about God for a lie and worshipped and created and served creative things rather than the Creator, who is.
Also, I like how once again. So we had like at least 3 minutes. We'll do the rule of 3 of him trying to sound rational. Once again, I was an inner circle atheist card. He never gave us a reason why. We'll see if he gets to an actual reason. But he just went. They never gave me answers, and then
now I'm a pastor,
and now a book said a thing. I mean, how could you say which God and then read that the Bible says, well, God revealed it, and go, oh, well, shit. Why didn't I know that? Why didn't I think of that? God.
Come on in and get yourself something cold to drink.
Water's fine, or should I say the Kool-Aid?
Like Big Daddy from the Django, when it's like, I have 5,000 reasons that'll change your mind.
Yeah, we'll wait for that good one.
Ever praised. Amen. So that's how the book of Romans, it's Paul writing about kind of what we're going to talk about to begin with here, is that God's made it plain that he exists. And so So if I'm making a claim that
So there you
atheism
go.
is absurd, I'm agreeing with that claim that it is plain. That means obvious. That is
Obvious.
like a baby can get it that God
Obvious.
exists. And of course, I didn't used to believe
Baby
this.
could understand this. Of course,
so
I didn't.
I'm gonna kind of
So hopefully he'll explain why, but don't bet your mortgage on it.
look through my thinking process then and my thinking process now. But the first thing I want to ask is just kind of an odd question that really came to mind when I was praying about this was the question that of where everything came from, right? It's a common question that pretty much everyone
It
comes
is
to
a
at some point in
common
their life.
question that almost any post-toddler asks. True. That is very true.
It's like, why am I here? Where did I come from? What is this all about? And I want to say that question is kind of proof itself of God's existence.
No, it really
why
isn't.
do we have that thought at all? Like,
In
why
fact,
do we?
That's,
why do we?
to be on topic, that's kind of an absurd claim.
If you think about it, there are in this example, there are two possible universes: one with a God, one with no God. Each universe, you could ask that same question. You could ask, where did all this come from? In the God universe, God would be the answer. In the non-God universe, there'd be another answer, but it wouldn't be God.
Yeah.
So just begging the question doesn't mean that if you can ask a question, therefore God must be real. No.
Just you can ask about your existence. Look at the trees, James. Isn't that evidence? No, it's not.
No.
Assume and live with the assumption that things just are, that everything is just random and by chance, or everything's just accidental, and there's no answer.
If you guys are having your creationist bingo or playing a drinking game, we just hit like 3.
Has he ever heard of I don't know?
No, I don't think he has.
Have you ever I don't know why or where or how? Because nobody knows.
But yeah, so I'll just check off nothing, random, chance.
Yeah.
All great ones that only really creationists use. But unless you're at Vegas.
That's because that's not the way the world around us appears.
Because then there's a high chance that you end up with nothing.
It doesn't appear that way, huh?
Yeah. Well, so what did he say? I'm sorry, I missed that.
That's because that's not the way the world around us appears, right? We have to investigate because we know complex things working didn't just come into existence by accident.
Yeah, it didn't happen by accident. But we have many factors and variables that seem to point into why life exists, why planets formed after the Big Bang. Well, why stars actually formed after the Big Bang, and then by generation 2 or 3, you start to get planets and other stuff.
But he's
cool.
He's doing the complexity fallacy that the complexity requires a designer, which is
complex,
which is not true. It's just lots of variables,
and once again,
at the same time, all working together. But it's not designed or planned top down. It's just how shit works.
And when you want to have good design, you want something that's extremely complex. It's why Apple is known for its complexity. It's how everything about Apple is really hard and complex to use. You know what I mean? It's designed not to be simple, right?
And that's the thing. Like, Ken Hovind always gives the example, more complicated than the space shuttle. And as amazing as the space shuttle was, it doesn't fly anymore. And
can I say something?
2 of them blew up due to engineering failures.
The precursor to a spaceship is what we tend to use, which is a rocket ship, which means that we just tie ourselves to a big old cannon.
Yeah.
We just tie ourselves to fuel.
A missile, basically.
A missile, exactly. Thank you. And just shoot ourselves into space. But, yes, I'm not shitting on our engineers. Our engineers are fantastic. That is the scientific method. Nonetheless, most engineers will tell you that they need to manage increasing complexity so that it
carefully.
can once again be simple for the users. That it's a constant battle between the two. Whoa! Sending so much love out
Farron.
there. $4.99. Oh, big old $5 milkshake from Farron Salas. My little part to help keep the lights on. We are sending you so much love,
Thanks,
Farron. And once again, we are sending that right back. I want to say I've put in the final list. So the the badges are already being made. I know I've been saying that now forever, but they're already in the works. And so the emojis are what are need to be created next. And so if you guys have specific type of emojis that you guys want created, that you think will be used consistently by your skeptical, non-believer, science-minded chatters out there, please let us know, because we want to turn them into a lot of fun. Nothing little about your part. Seriously, we are sending so much.
We appreciate all the support.
Couldn't agree more, Mark. We are sending so much love, Farron, because it is basically your guys' contributions, support, and just viewership in general that keeps this channel running. And so thank you so very much.
Farron.
We got badges, mother bitches. That's right. And I will say, let me just I'll do a spoiler alert, because it's very specifically going to be badges that evolve. I didn't even just want colors. I wanted to go the whole 9 yards. And I also just the notion that our badges evolve, I actually find kind of a little dig towards creationism. I can't even help myself.
Our bubble and sunflower, just send them all the love in the world.
But yes, it will be going, the badges will be going from a test tube to an Ermenine flask to a magnifying glass to a microscope to a computer to a spaceship. I'm fucking pumped, ladies and gentlemen. I couldn't be happy to all the people out there. We are sending love to Farron, to everyone out there. Our Patreons, and just the people in chat. I see Beamsy, Unit 66, Mark Reed, Farron Salas, Beamsy, pseudonym, Rusty, Norfolk, everybody out there, Shane Billowith, Plum, Rachel, Pat, Spooky Bed Hair. Yeah, we're really just trying to send all the love out there that we can. And with that, let's go back into the silliness. Exactly.
Complexity.
Stuff comes from a stuff maker. Like, we know this. Like, we experience this. Why do we know this?
Stuff comes from a stuff
because
maker.
We're stuff makers.
Oh my God.
So let's just call everything that's out there.
I'm sorry. What stuff comes from a stuff maker?
We're stuff makers.
First of all, is that the technical term?
I believe so.
Stuff? Okay.
Widget come from a widget maker.
But, and every once in a while, one of our items comes up. Once again, we're going into basically watchmaker, these crude intelligent design arguments that at last, my part. Oh, sending so much love, Spooky. And sending so much love. Yo, what is up? Al Hakaim, Bi Amar Allah. What is up? We are sending love out there. Theist, atheist, all of our brothers and sisters out there.
Stuff, and we're stuff makers. And because we're stuff makers, we know this is the only reality.
We work at Build-A-Bear, basically.
We observe. Okay? In other words, where does stuff come from? Well, I could tell you where the stuff I make comes from.
I'm sorry, But he continuously is using this like a scientific term. I don't want to continuously use this joke to be redundantly redundant, but he is using stuff like it's a real term.
But he's saying he knows where the stuff he makes comes from. I don't know, Amy. Where does the stuff you make? What's the stuff you make?
I think we need to have an Everybody Poops reading. Sit together. I'm sorry for everyone who's eating, but apparently we need to have a lesson.
Make, Amy?
I know.
From it comes from me. I can tell you the stuff where other humans make it. It comes from them. Stuff comes from
we all flush it down
makers,
the toilet.
and that's why we ask the question: as we're stuff, right? Material things. I'm a material being. I'm a flesh being, and the other stuff in the world.
Wendy's
Mountains are stuff. Water is stuff.
He's a flesh being,
and so stuff. Everything I've experienced, again, the way I know stuff is made is
I've experienced stuff. He's using that now. It's like, you ever see that Key and Peele where he's like, okay.
But
He's like, okay.
Mountains. Have you ever seen a mountain maker? Because
I have not.
How mountains are made is tectonic plates. One goes under the other and pushes it up.
I actually think he wrote his thesis on stuff. Thus, I think we're going to have to call him Dr. Stuff.
I think he's intentionally trying to sound like just like down to earth. I'm just one of the guys. I'm not a technical,
Like
person.
I said,
this is just common sense, people.
He's got his hat on backwards. He has a guitar. He has a skateboard, but he doesn't use it. But it's like hanging behind him. But that's the vibe I'm just getting. I don't know what kind of pastor is. That's just the vibe I'm getting from him.
Maybe.
That's what the preamble was. Oh my God, atheist. I was a teen once, two dudes, bro, pizza.
You grow up. You like Bob. When are you gonna go out and get a real job? Come on.
So he's stuffed. Yes, exactly. If I had to say scientifically, I'd say he has stuffed his stuff in his stuff. If we're being specifically.
So kind of the Christian answer to where did all this stuff, which includes me and you, where does all this stuff come from? Well, the Christian answer is very simple. It's that stuff came from a stuff maker who made it into.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. A stuff comes from a stuff maker, a la argument stuff.
Let me ask, where did God come from? Is there a God stuff maker?
I know. And the funny thing is, when we say, they'll be like, well, is the universe eternal? And we'll be like, yeah, you can't have anything before that. That question doesn't even make sense.
We don't even.
And we'll be like, okay, well, where does everything come from? They'll be like, God. And we'll be like, well, where did God come from? Like, the question doesn't even make sense. You're being nonsensical right now. It's like, you didn't answer the question. God is not.
We can't contemplate where he came from or his true nature. He is so much bigger than us. We can't even begin to understand him or comprehend him.
True. Pastor has to have a pastor maker.
Yeah, there you go.
Starting to sound like he's filled with stuff. I think that's what the
cow pastor
is. Yeah.
Christian answer. Where did the stuff come from? Well, it came from a stuff maker.
No, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't hit rewind. He is just saying stuff comes from stuff.
He's
maker.
Just going on and on about it.
Well,
that's the way we think about everything. That's every experience we have in this world.
That's the way you think about it.
There's no reason to believe anything else. It's absurd. Like if I were to put a box, if I were to go into a high school classroom and put a box in the middle of the room, and let's just say fill the box with some random things, and ask the high school students, where did it, like I did it while they were all gone, okay? So no one's in the classroom, and I filled it all up with different things. And I asked the students, where did this stuff come from that's now in the room? 100% of the students, 100% of them would say, I put it there, or someone put it there, that it got there because someone intentionally put it there. And if I asked them, how did this
say a magic wand, but okay.
Stuff get made?
People fill boxes with stuff. We know that. That's very common sense right there.
I mean, the claim is literally can a box be in a room that has stuff? Yes.
Have
Yes.
you ever seen somebody poof a universe out of nothing? Have you ever seen anybody poof animals out of nothing? No.
Well,
I've never seen any of that.
It's hard to, you always say it's hard to tell with pose, but this is, ladies and gentlemen, this is religion on the brain.
The students would say, someone made it. An intelligence made the stuff.
Yes, because
there
it's
would
an
be
artificial
0% of them that would come to the.
Do you know why? Because life is naturally occurring. Two boxes out in the wild don't find each other and mate and make little boxes. We have evidence of two different things happening. Holy moly.
This idea that, well, with just enough quantity of time and enough quantity of opportunity, the stuff just happened to be here by accident, 0%. But I would say this, I would say that the brightest of students, like the absolute most intelligent of the students, might be able to come up with a real complex idea that possibly with enough time and enough stuff to make stuff with, or enough chaos to cause stuff to collide, and that maybe that's how the stuff got there. And they might be right. Like they might actually be able to show.
Once again, it is not random. There was only hydrogen, helium, a little bit of lithium. That's all that was in the universe. That's all the stuff that was there. And so there wasn't even rocky planets. Okay.
The stars had to make all that stuff to make the heavy elements out of, and that took billions of years.
And so, yes, some things, some processes take billions of years. It's not just random. That's another thing. It's not random chance. It's actually gravity reacting.
I guess maybe at the quantum level, there's some notion of randomness, but
well, sure. But see, even then,
not at the macro level.
Probabilistic.
Yeah, it's not probable.
And it's not, even though quantum mechanics is weird and it doesn't make sense to us, we use it in our electronics.
Right. We know how we have a functional understanding of a lot of it, how it works and whatnot. But what he's saying here is, oh, I guess you could come up with some crazy scenario but it's not really likely. And no, it's not likely. But if there's no God in the universe, then these processes, if they're all we have, that's all you have to work with. I mean, what else is there? You have natural processes. You have time.
Not a lot.
Things happen. No, Beamsy, I mean, it seems random. I'm not a physicist. I'm not trying to sound technical, super hyper technical on physics, but yeah.
With a mathematical theory or just a long process that it's possible, right? That it's possible the stuff could have gotten there by another way, or
no,
it's possible the
I
stuff
still
could have been made
stand
by
by
another means.
Doctor stuff.
But we would look at that and go, that's ridiculous. And
yes, everything you've said
atheist,
except for basically the first 3 minutes was ridiculous.
Oh.
For me, again, I'm not saying all atheists are the same, nor am I an expert. That was my worldview.
Oh, that much.
See, the worldview seems to be this.
We are positive.
It's if we take possibility and add to it quantity. So there's two things, possibility and quantity. Then we can get to anywhere as long as we have a big enough quantity. So it's like this. So like,
that'd be interesting.
If we have enough time,
quasars,
right? So things can't just, we never see things just pop into existence by chance or just come to be complex by instantaneously or by chance. So what do we do?
My goddess, I'm
sorry. That's
sorry.
what he's saying.
If you were taking the drinking game, the creationist drinking game, one of your words was chance, I'm sorry. I'll take you to the hospital myself for alcohol poisoning.
Have to get your stomach pumped.
Yeah.
We say we need time. We just need a real lot of it. So we go to quantity, right? Just if we have enough of time, then maybe anything is possible. Because even if there's a tiny percent chance of, let's say I'm flipping a coin, right? And I say, what are the odds of me flipping heads 100 times in a row if I'm not cheating, right? You'd say, well, they're just ridiculous. Well, But maybe if
Once
I flip
again, it wasn't. They act like, and the explanation they give, it always sounds ridiculous. Like, oh, do you believe that a tornado would just come by a scrapyard and blah blah blah, and then a 747 would be right there? No, we don't believe that. That's not what we're saying in any aspect, in any field of science, ever. I don't. Oh man! If anything, who you should compliment in everything from that is your PR department. They're doing fantastic, chugging out bullshit, or I'm sorry, bull stuff.
They just get so triggered by the time because they don't like it. That the fact is, we do have lots of time for these very slow processes, not random processes, but very slow processes of matter and energy obeying the laws of physics to generate what we see today. And yeah, these are slow. A lot of them take a long time to stars take millions or billions of years to go through their life cycle. We do have that time, though. You may not like it, but it is real and it is verifiable.
the coin 200 quazillion, whatever that's a made up number, 200 trillion times, that
just make up
sequence might
numbers.
appear somewhere in
Once
there, right?
again,
That's the
you can
idea.
tell
so if we have
scientists
enough
right
time,
here.
then really quite anything is
we can
possible. So look at
calculate
this
how long it would take to get a
tremendous
bazillion
amount of
heads in a
time.
row if you had.
And so that's kind of the
It would probably take orders of magnitude longer than the age of the universe, but eventually it would happen.
Well, exactly. It's not even impossible. Once again, he makes a
Right.
claim that's like, whoa, can you imagine? First of all, it's the gambler's fallacy that you're ever owed after a while. It will, the probability of a coin flip will never change. It will always be, if it's a fair coin flip, taking out all the, you do a computerized coin flip, it will always be 50-50. But
that's why.
but it's possible to get a billion. My roommate almost got a 300 in bowling, ladies and gentlemen. That's almost 12 strikes. They got 11 strikes. It's pretty damn good. Because
just
rare events happen all the time.
All the time.
atheist answer to, or mine anyway,
I
the
know.
materialistic
It's ridiculous.
view of
It's a
how
straw
did
man.
things get to be? Like, how did complex organisms come to be? Complex structures. Remember,
Very
we're not just
slowly
complex
over
organizations.
billions of years.
Night, Alakim,
Good
or
night.
good morning. And we just want to send love to anyone also just joining us. We are watching The Absurdity of Atheism. And man, like it was
the stuff maker.
rational for 3 minutes and just the gloves got thrown down and it's been straight up nonsense since then.
We're complex, and I mean, living things actually work together in harmony and communicate with each other and are
They
involved
evolve that
in
way.
each other's lives, both directly and indirectly. Like, this is a huge, complex system that goes far beyond you and I, far beyond humanity, far beyond even the earth itself.
I
And
mean,
it all
he
works
almost went
together.
really Lion King
you go,
on
well-
us here for like a second. He's like, how they're
Circle of life.
connected in Circle of Life
Well,
and that shit. That's
that's
stuff.
the-
I'm sorry.
That's the thing. Ecosystems are incredibly complex. And did God sit there and design every ecosystem? Okay, I'm going to put no, because ecosystems have changed. Even in human times, we've seen ecosystems change and they evolve over time, and they're still really complex.
What that just takes is a real lot of time. And I think we're at somewhere between like 12 and 14 billion years.
Somewhere
And that's
in
how this all happens. It's just enough time. You get enough quantity of time, and this can just happen by
13.8.
accident, by chance, with no meaning, no purpose, and no
Not
direction.
chance.
And one thing I'd say
Yeah,
is,
no
if
meaning.
you believe that,
No meaning, no
that's
purpose,
crazy
no
thought
direction.
to
no
me,
purpose.
right? But there isn't enough time. Like 14, let's say 14 billion years. I think that's on the high end, but someone can correct me if I'm wrong. 14 billion years. If we convert that to money, let's say now, if I have $14 billion, I feel quite confident that for me, that would be a lot of money. But when you look at something like, let's say, if I were to tell you the US government had $14 billion to spend over the next 10 years, we would all be going, they don't have enough money. That's not enough money.
Right,
Why? Because the need is so great to accomplish what they have to do with money, right? And so the idea that, let's say, the Earth is 14 billion years old, and because of that,
this is what the Earth is not 14 billion years old. The universe is 14 billion.
Yeah,
billion
the Earth
years
is
old. The Earth is like 4 billion years old, roughly.
Yeah.
What he's going to do is he's going to say, well, I mean, I guess if you could have eventually organic chemicals form life, and I guess random mutations over time could produce change, but it would take a lot longer than the time that we have observed it. Like Ken Hovind, he has to say, like, it would take trillions of years to change a whale into something else, or an elephant into a whale. It would take trillions of years. Well, no, it doesn't, because we don't have to start over all the time. Life can it can build on things. It doesn't have to start over every stage. Oh, Atheist Junior's got a toothache. Oh, sorry, AJ.
What is up, AJ? And I am so sorry. Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah.
I am wishing you as much medical science as possible, and I hope that you recover and truly get well, and just sending love.
Where's Wesley? Doesn't he always cure toothaches by asking God to heal somebody's toothache as evidence of God? Yeah.
Once again, science, pure science.
Science, yeah.
To hear by accident and chance. It's just, it's so preposterous that if we were to put it in any other context, no one would believe it. But it gets worse.
Does it? Oh, I imagine.
You always just add quantity to everything. That's what I'm trying to say. You add quantity to everything, and you think you can get anywhere, because it gets worse. It's like, well, the problem isn't just that the Earth and we have people and we have complex organisms communicating together. That's not just the problem. We have an entire universe. And so what we discovered is that the universe is perfectly fine-tuned for life.
No. Wow, no, we don't.
We have only seen actual hard evidence of life on one little tiny speck of the universe. There's probably other life out there, almost certainly, but we haven't seen evidence of it, certainly not on the macroscopic scale. So,
yeah,
I mean,
definitely have not.
If the properties of the universe were such that they did not allow us to be here, Amy, we wouldn't be here, right? So that's like what is that? The observer?
It's the puddle analogy, basically.
Well, it's the puddle analogy, but it's like the observe. Like, because we're here to observe it, we can observe it.
I'm alive, so the universe must be fine-tuned for me. Well, is 99% of the universe seemingly not filled with life?
Because we can only if we leave the lower atmosphere of this planet, we are not in a finely tuned area where we could live.
Even the other 2 planets in the circumstellar habitable zone are not currently good for life. Venus, which may have been at one point
had life
on it, has had a runhouse gas effect, which makes it the hottest planet in the solar system, even though it's only the second closest to the sun. And then you have Mars, which lost its atmosphere. Exactly right. And so even though these planets could have had life, Mars still may have life underground. We don't know. We'd like to check. But it's only in question. So it doesn't seem that fine-tuned, as many physicists will point out. Universe seems fine-tuned for black holes.
But I mean, if you look out in the universe, what do you see? Design? Do you see? All you see is just stuff happening, seemingly randomly.
Random.
You just see matter and energy obeying the laws of physics. That's it. Which does often, as Amy pointed, lead to black holes. Which there will be a time in the universe, trillions of years from now, where basically that's all that is left in the universe is black holes slowly radiating away. That's it.
argument for the Christian is, right, well, the fine-tuning of the universe. And that, so what's the only...
But also, if that's too sad, here is a random thought about puppies and kittens.
solution you can come up with to counter that? Well, once again, it's the same thing. Quantity. So now we have the multiverse.
2 scoops.
So what you do is, well, if one universe being so fine-tuned, that's just an impossible thought. So what do I do? Well, you know what? Now there's just many universes.
As if people just made multiverses just out of they just pulled it out of their back pocket, or the sun don't shine. I'm sorry. We are driven to things. I would say it's a hypothesis right now.
Yeah, it's a hypothesis. We haven't confirmed it. It's just at the hypothesis stage. And maybe there are, maybe they're not. Maybe this is the only universe. We're still here.
Exactly.
And quantity back in. It's not impossible if there's billions or really infinite number of universes, is there? So now suddenly it's possible again because we have quantity. And what happens there? Well, now we're already talking about the multiverse. In other words, so you still have the same problem now with the multiverse.
That
so
you do for God. Oh,
a multiverse of multiverses. Yeah, that's probably what it is. It probably goes on forever.
And once again, they try to use this all the way down problem, trying to think what the correct term they have. It can't, what's it called, all the way down? Trying to think. Elephants all the way down. There's an exact word. Chat, please help me, but we'll jump back in. Basically, that it can't go on forever. Why? How could it possibly?
But how could it not? Because what would be beyond where it stops? Would there be a wall? Well, what? You could always go further than the farthest you can go.
Turtles all the way down. Thank you.
So, I mean, will we ever understand the true nature of the multiverse of multiverse and what's outside that and what's outside that? Probably not. But it'll be fun to
exactly. Well, and the other thing is, there could be a multiverse and we have no way of probing it. Because
no way of leaving this universe.
Yeah, exactly.
Or detecting anything outside of it. Maybe there is a way.
There may be some universes. I mean, once again, we're just making up hypotheses. What if some universes have it easier to get access to other universes, and some universes it's harder, and there's a harder barrier to get penetrated?
Black holes by universes. That's entirely possible.
Well, and that actually makes a lot of intuitive sense to me. Not intuitive. A lot of times, intuition gets things wrong on physics things, but that would make sense to me. That when the entire universe is just nothing but black holes, it just means that there is other universes out there doing its thing from the creations, and yeah.
And since black holes evaporate away,
so funny thing you say that, Shane. I do not think that's going to happen. I will reach out to Praise. I'm sending love to Praise because him and Gavin broke up. Yeah, it was not a good split.
Gavin packed up his shit and left.
Rarely try to pick people in disputes, and because we it's not our nose, because the whole point of being an atheist is we don't have to have these schismatic wars. I love Gavin. Are you doing good? Oh, Gavin's too busy to comment. I'm very happy that Praise had me on there. I thought he was a good moderator. I thought that it was a good debate. I don't think that couldn't agree more. I would say that I don't think that Gavin was happy about the second debate. He kind of went downhill when he tried to spend the entire time
advocating for reincarnation without advocating for reincarnation.
When it said that reincarnation on the screen, it said reincarnation. He's like, why are you bringing up reincarnation? I'm like, because it says so on the screen.
Well, right there. I mean, he's talking about a kid having memories of a past life. That Reincarnation, much?
And he
if it
wants to
walks
use
like
that
a
as
duck-
evidence as supernatural, but then he wants to turn around and say, but that doesn't exist.
If it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, quacks like a duck, shits like a duck, it's a duck.
It's
Probably.
duck.
Well, quantity. Now there's an infinite number of multiverses, and the quantity just keeps going on and on and on, when really we're dealing with something that even a child can see. Again, every time something new comes into our existence, it's because we created. That's the way it happens. And so when you're talking to an atheist, or if you're an atheist and you're saying, you're claiming God exists, prove it. I would say to you, you're claiming that a quantity of time and just existence as we know it now can bring complex things into being that work together and serve a purpose, an apparent purpose.
I really love that word. Like, complex is their marketing term. You know, it's a complex, it's a very complex system. You wouldn't understand it, because I don't understand it, because God doesn't seem to explain any of the logistics ever.
The purpose of life is to live and find enough food to keep yourself alive and reproduce.
And I will say, I really do. I think that's our only purpose that we can say objectively. Like, as a living organism, you have a single solitary purpose, and that is to get food for the organism. And I'll attend to food and water. But that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Sustenance,
exactly. Make the chemical reaction keep on going.
But I would say so that the proof is on you, because I could go into my room, or I could do it right now, prove that, give me a couple minutes and I can prove to you I can create something that has purpose by intentionally creating it with my mind. And I have a feeling, or I know, if I asked you, the one who doesn't believe that things were made by an intelligent being, that we'll just wait for you to come up with that thing that pops into existence out of nowhere, we'd be waiting a really long time. Again, you require that quantity of time. So hopefully I'll explain.
Unless you are dealing with quantum mechanics, nothing's popping in and out of existence.
That well without my slides. But again, so on the opposite side, you'll keep finding this idea that quantity somehow answers all those questions, even though it's absolutely
a hypothesis, dude. Get over it.
What we observe day to day. And there's this interesting thing. So talking about this idea, there's this interesting thing in science. It's like quantum mechanics and quantum physics. It's very interesting. But there's a quote by a guy named Niels Bohr, and he won a Nobel Prize in physics. And he said this. I just want you to hear this line. He says, if quantum mechanics hasn't profoundly shocked you, you haven't understood it yet. So he says, if it doesn't shock you, you haven't understood it. Listen to what he says. He says, we get it. Quantum mechanics, it's
totally deep, dude.
Totally different. But they keep banking on that it's going to provide evidence for God, because there's things about it we don't understand. But
whenever you hear creationists talk about quantum mechanics, abiogenesis, or consciousness, please just check your wallet to make sure nothing's missing. That's all I'm saying.
Thing we call real is made of things that cannot be regarded as real. So he says, as we've discovered the quantum world, he's like, as we've broken down atoms and gone down, I think the smallest thing now is like a quark, if you're a scientist, right? That's like, as we keep breaking the world down.
Dr. Stuff over here is also a scientist.
Everything that's made of material things, in the end, it breaks down to nothing. That's what he's saying. And I want you to hear what
No, that's actually not what he's saying.
By faith, we understand that the universe
energy is not a nothing.
God's command.
And quantum mechanics is not nothing.
That what is seen was not made out of what is visible. So in other words, a couple thousand years ago, when this was put together, now we're reading what quantum physics is only discovering now in quantum mechanics, that the world itself, like the reality actually isn't made out of parts that we see. It's actually made out of something that's really not even material. And this is what the Bible has said for since it's been compiled. In Colossians 1:16 through 1:17 says this: for in him, it's talking about Jesus, for in him all things were created, things in heaven and on
Don't
earth,
talk
visible
about
and invisible,
Jesus.
whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities, all things have been created through him and for him. He existed before anything else, and he holds all creation together. So the Bible describes this being, this God, who through and in him all things are created, and all things are created for him.
It makes a
This
baseless
idea,
assertion. It baselessly asserts a creator.
Yeah, he's never going into really any reason why he's a theist. He's explaining what his version of Christianity believes. Yeah, and I'm not waiting for. I'm waiting for.
The Bible say this, therefore that. The Bible says, yeah. The Bible say God did it.
Existed before anything else. He is the thing that comes before anything.
He's the thing that
And
comes
it's also
before anything.
The thing that comes before anything. I think we have traveled into absurdity if we hadn't done so way long ago.
The thing that comes before anything.
Kinky, as long as they have permission.
Exists
Give God
beyond
permission?
everything. It's like the Alpha Omega, right?
They've
The
been a
first, the
good
last,
boy.
the beginning and the end.
Or
That means
girl.
as we look up to the biggest thing, which is like the universe, right? It's like this idea that God's even bigger than that. Like God is bigger than the
15
universe because
feet.
it was created
This
in
is
him
how
and
big
for
God
him and by
is.
him. But also as we break things
But
down to
also-
the
but wait, there's
smallest
more.
possible thing, we get to God there too. Because
Really?
as you break things down, like again, atoms, and now they're down to quarks, as you break things down, eventually you get to
You
something
find God?
that is just the something that is, let's say, right? It's the substance.
No,
It's
let's not say that, because that didn't sound like science. You said the something that is, let's say. No, let's not say that.
Oh, but it just is.
It just is. James, did you know about stuff? I don't know if you did.
Just is.
I know. Did you hear about the theory of stuff? The theory of like it just is?
That's deep. It's so very profound. Very profound.
Very derp. We must go derper.
Well, it's something that's made of nothing, so it in and of itself is nothing.
No.
You understand? Because it's not
What
made.
is made of nothing? That
He's
statement.
saying all matter is
once
made of nothing.
guessing.
Because
That
if
is
you
not
break
what
everything
quantum
down
mechanics
to its
states.
constituent parts, like
That's
if you break
not
down
what-
the quarks to their
see,
break them in half, then
but
eventually
that's
you
not
get to
true.
nothing.
That's not what atom states. That is not what quark states. That's not what quantum mechanics states. And it's not really even what the tongue-in-joke something from nothing from Lawrence Krauss, which that book is I have it. It is a good book. He is using it tongue-in-cheek, but my lordy, like that's all they do now. Well, look, atheists believe nothing. It says it right here, right here. No, that was in response because you guys keep on saying it.
Even if it's non-matter, even if it's just energy takes up no space, but energy itself is not nothing. It's not nothing.
Made of anything. You can't say what is it made of. Well, if
That's
it's made
Gavin's
of something, then that's something else comes after it. You see what I'm saying? It's beneath it. So it is made of nothing, and yet it is the something that sustains everything. And so again, we look through the Bible, and when an atheist says prove God, we don't have to prove our claim. Okay,
of course you don't.
Whoa,
you can't.
Whoa! I'm sorry. Like, we have now gone 180 from the preamble. He basically I knew Christians couldn't prove their claim to me, and so how long? We're this long. And he's going to finally get to the Lord Zeno? Of course, he doesn't have good evidence for his beliefs.
Of course.
Okay. And once again, the absurdity of atheism?
With Chris Avell, I think we're listening to the absurdity of theism.
I mean, I hate to be the one to call out the obvious, but I think
Obvious.
so.
The absurdity of
something
religion.
that is absolutely outlandish. They are
Indeed.
claiming that even though in this world we see that everything that comes into
Doesn't
being
have
of
a
intelligent
creator. Don't
purpose
even start
is
with it.
created by an
Oh.
intelligent being intentionally.
No, we don't see that. Star systems weren't intelligently created. In fact, the majority of things weren't created by a creator. That's a very animals. I can't think of anything else but animals that is a creator. That's it. Small little branch. And the big animals are the backboned animals. Did you know that we genetically share more in common with a fish than a fish does with a shark?
Huh, that I did not know.
And they're making another claim. They're saying no, but it could have happened magically if you only have enough time.
Magically.
And that's the point that needs to be
Wait
proven.
a second.
So don't
Wait a
think
second. Did he not just do like a what if? But you found. I'm trying to think, and it really is a whataboutism as well. It's basically saying, look, I know we can't prove our claims, but the atheists can't either.
It's like
Atheists
a
can't prove a God.
fallacy or what?
Quoque.
Yeah, well,
Exactly. I'm sorry.
You
but
do it too. You guys have faith too. You just have
No.
faith in nothing. I have faith in God.
We have science. You have let's see.
Magic.
Yeah, a magic and a book said a thing.
they're not making a positive claim. They're making a positive claim that the universe came about by some other means. So that's, again, talking about the proof of God.
All
I'm sorry,
the
I'm just going through
evidence
because I don't have
comes
my slides.
naturalistically so far.
So the second thing I want to talk about is suffering. I get a lot when talking to
incoming, like I had an
Incoming.
emotional reaction when I first heard him. I've only heard maybe 2/3 because I do like to do a little back.
A little.
I like to
research.
see Rick's crybaby backstory, and this I don't know. It does. Without further ado.
atheists or non-believers about suffering, and suffering is a great problem, and suffering is a terrible thing, of course. But when we look at suffering, because I was just challenged, maybe it was last time I shared afterwards, I was talking personally to a non-believer. He was really having trouble with understanding suffering, right? So the idea is, if God is good, right, and he's all good and all knowing and all powerful, why is there suffering in this world? Because he, of course, could prevent suffering. And we often will respond to something like free will, right? That's the idea as well. We sin, and so there's suffering in the world.
Yeah, you
There's
make
free
something up,
will in the world, and
yes.
so suffering might be. And that's a good and true thought. But God did better than that.
Oh boy,
because
did
God, in fact, defeated suffering. He put an end to suffering. So
James, good news.
You just have to wait till after you're dead.
But the suffering.
Yeah. No, you suffer in this life, but then after you die, then
Oh,
you
wait.
won't suffer anymore.
You mean the children with malaria, AIDS, gonorrhea, all of the basically horrible diseases that we could find? You're saying, oh, wait, okay, no, they'll get better after they die.
Yeah, they'll get better after they die. Yeah, God will heal them then.
Hallelujah. That's true.
although it's been allowed, it's been completely defeated, even to the point of the ultimate evil of death. Like, death is the ultimate evil. So, like,
it is? Oh, and yeah, this is where we're going. Ladies and gentlemen, spoiler alert. This is where we're going. Like, oh, the suffering's just begun. Isn't it great?
no matter what you're going through in life, as long as you're alive, there's hope. But once you're dead, there's no hope. Death is the ultimate evil. And so what did God do with death? Well, he didn't just end it, right? We still die. He did something greater through Jesus. He redeemed it. What this means is that when a
He
Christian
redeemed death as if it's this anthropomorphic dude that needs to be redeemed.
So you get it all. You just have to die first.
Exactly. James, once you die, it just gets so good. It's great. Just gotta die.
It's like anytime they point out, like, oh, the prophecies Jesus didn't fulfill, don't worry, he will fulfill them when he comes back. Don't worry about all that stuff he didn't do before, because he'll do it next time.
It'll happen in the second coming.
Of course. Come on.
And which is a shame. You should really at least allow your wife or your partner or husband to do it first before you do it a second time.
No, come on. Amy.
Whatever.
Christian dies, right? And we just actually had a friend die this past weekend. But when a Christian dies, there's actually a reason to rejoice, right?
Did you get that?
Rejoice.
Very subtle. A Christian dies. Throw a party. Best thing to happen.
They went to heaven, which I have to say, like, my other thing I do is true crime, and there was a trial in Florida last week where, and the guy had confessed that he and his wife decided that they wanted to go to the afterlife, and they were going to kill themselves, and then they told their kids. And their kids said, well, we want to go with you guys.
Oh, Jesus.
So they killed the 3 kids and the wife, and he said he chickened out when it came to killing himself. But, yeah. It's okay because they went to the afterlife, right?
But it's okay because religion. And you know what? Many will look at that and go, look, it's a horrible thing. They're dead. But you know who they're with, James, right now?
Raptor Jesus?
With Raptor Jesus right here. Right here in your heart.
I mean, there's a woman going on trial in Miami in the coming year.
We're going to Miami?
Yeah.
Hopefully not to slap someone.
Who drowned her 7-year-old autistic son, and she told the police that she was sending him to Jesus because his life would be better in heaven. He would be better off up there than down here.
Let's put the asterisk that we try and put on once a podcast. Although we are comedians, we do take this seriously because it isn't always dangerous to have one or two non-skeptical beliefs, but you don't know which belief without evidence is going to be harmful. And it only takes one. Only takes thinking that there's a massive conspiracy against vaccines. There's reasons to be against pharmaceutical companies gouging people for money, and that entire business in the United States. Nonetheless, the vaccines are scientific. And I always ask, I'm always like, just please tell me what a vaccine is. They never do. And it's very simple. A vaccine. A vaccine is, hold on. What is it? Brett said, do you guys take it serious when atheists end the lives of each other and religious people? Well, I mean, suicide is a very serious issue. So we should take it importantly. And then I guess homicide is also a very important issue. I've found generally that atheists are not going around starting religious holy wars. The example we always get are Mao and Pol Pot. Those are the big ones.
Stalin.
And Stalin. Thank you. The big communist regimes that did a lot of terrible things, a lot of also stupid things. So some of which had work labor camps, which anyone who disagreed with them got sent to. But then some were just stupid, and they just took control of farms away from the farmers. and it turns out that they didn't know how to farm. And so there was a massive starvation. And so that wasn't atheism. That was a bunch of people who didn't know how to do agriculture. But I can't reiterate enough that there is literal holy wars that have taken place throughout all of history. And so you have like a direct correlation between.
But just in the abstract, if an atheist person kills another person without justification, that's horrible. And nobody would, no atheist would say that's a good thing. If there's no reason to kill somebody, you should not kill people. And I think it just comes into the motivation that no atheist thinks that you could ever be doing a favor for somebody by killing them. I mean, I guess people, maybe in extreme suffering, there could be moral implications of that. But that aside, I don't think nobody thinks they're going to a better place.
And I've also never heard of an atheist killing their children so that they could get to an afterlife.
Right. And,
it is one of the great problems I have with religions and afterlives is that it alleviates the fear of death. For many people, they see that as a good thing. I see that as a horrible thing. I think when you
this life,
what the fuck, yeah.
Her name is Patricia Ripley in Miami, and what happened was there's video of her pushing her son into a canal. Now her son got rescued because someone else saw him in the canal and took him out. And then she took him to another canal like 2 hours later and pushed him in. He never got out. And then she told the police that he was kidnapped, some kind of story. But here they have the video 2 hours later of her literally pushing her son into a canal. She's being tried for her life coming up in Miami. Lots of trials. They get delayed because death penalty trials are so exhaustive and time consuming and expensive. It'll be coming up in the next couple of years or whatnot. Very sad case.
But I will say, sending love to all of our atheist and theist brothers and sisters. We actually love the pushback. We once again, we just like questions, but we also like atheists. If you want your specific comments read, especially your one-liners, baby, tag James W. and myself at Amy Newman so that we can show them on screen.
But to rejoice, because they're in a place now that we believe is even better than this earth, where there's no more suffering and
no more suffering.
And so,
I mean, I hate to say, like, I do not understand how that can't. If I were to say it's a juvenile belief, I would get criticized, even though I did just basically say that in a passive way.
Amy,
but like,
Amy, every tear will be dried. Every clip of Bruno Mars music will disappear from the universe forever. No one will ever hear Uptown Funk again. Yeah.
What? This is how you know I work with Satan.
Definitely.
I want to challenge that thought on suffering a little bit, because understand, if I believe that's true.
Once again, challenge that thought. Farron couldn't have been more right. As in, this dude is taking the Mother Teresa route. He is saying suffering. Just, guys, you had it all wrong. We need to have a dude suffer specifically. Because once the guy's in a character story, you need your characters to suffer in order to them to have character development. But once again, he is talking about the suffering of a dude who they killed for 3 days so they could throw their problems onto.
But Amy, he was perfect.
Perfect. Exactly. Oh, well, I'm sorry. I knew you were about to kill a dude and sacrifice him for all of the naughty things that you did, but I had no idea he was perfect. Like, wow. He's kind of cute.
He also was God, and he was also the Son of God. thus being his own father and his
like
own
a
son.
resume with a big 401k. Does the Son of God like have health care too?
Well, I don't know about healthcare. Apparently, though, he is 6'4", blonde hair,
Wow.
blue eyes, and he is jacked. He is ripped. He has been hitting the steroids, according to Mary Baxter.
That's right. The carpets
version
match drapes too.
Her version of Jesus, yeah.
If that is true, if God has the God we're talking about has created a place where
Totally
there's no more
true.
suffering and no more pain and no more death,
Makes
let me
sense.
just pose kind
Rainbows,
of a thought to
unicorns.
you. Who is going to be rejoicing for eternity? Understand? So there's an eternity ahead of rejoicing. So who's going to be rejoicing more eternally? Is it going to be the person here on
That's
earth
not
who's
me.
rich,
That is him.
let's say, and now they're in heaven and they're still rich. They're enjoying God's blessings. Praise God. They rejoice for that. Or with a person on earth here who suffered and could barely find food to eat and struggled and was in pain, but now they're in heaven and there's no more pain, and now they're truly rich. Who's going to rejoice more? Well, you would know. All of us would talk about.
Let me tell you about this. Let me think about this for a second. He is saying, let's just unpack that. He's saying, who is going to enjoy? Oh, I'll unpack it as much as I can. Who's going to enjoy it? Heaven more? The guy who was a rich CEO and had a wonderful life, and then he died, and now he's going to continue having a wonderful life? Or the child who had leukemia and a worm crawling out through their eye as they begged for mercy, but now life is way better? Well, I'm going to assume both of them, because both of them are enjoying life. Only one of them had a really horrible time for no reason.
Oh. And it's like, so like it's like a rich kid who's born into a rich family and then just lives their whole life rich. But if you came from a poor family and you won the lottery and you became a multimillionaire, well, you would be really, really grateful for that money because you know what it's like to have nothing. You know what it's like to suffer. It's,
yeah, a little bit of empathy.
Person who has experienced all this pain and all this suffering, they're going to rejoice even more because now they have an eternity that's pain free and suffering free, and they used to be
eternity on their knees.
I no longer have to have pain. Yes. Oh, you were in pain? Well, yeah, wasn't everybody? I died on a yacht. Margaritas were great though. Are they good up here too?
Oh no, we don't eat or drink. We just praise God all day, every day.
Praise God all
That's
day,
all we do. And we love every second of it because we no longer have free will.
For his glory holes.
They're rich and have the very wealth of God at their disposal. That's going to be the person who's rejoicing. And so God didn't simply, when we look at suffering, we look at it as if we wish it didn't exist.
I now just have that scene in Rick and Morty where it's their version of hell. It's a bunch of demons where they're a bunch of masochists that just everything. It hurts, but it feels good. He has to create a I forget what the reversal machine where it turns pain into real pain.
So now he's making the argument, because I just watched a mini series where it touched on this, but he's saying, like there can be no light without darkness, there can be no pleasure without pain.
Highlander? Oh no, okay.
There can be no, like basically you have to have both. That if life was just a utopia, it would be boring. If there was no risk, no suffering, nothing bad ever happened. It would just
James, where would the test be? How would this be a test?
It would be just a vapid, empty existence. There'd be nothing to work for, strive for. So we need that, is what he's trying to say. We need to have the pain to understand pleasure. We need to lose to understand winning. Yeah.
Needs to
Dr.
exist.
Stuff has been a
and
very
I can go into that in the
boy.
question and answer if we get to that. But here's the good news. God didn't just put an end to it. He actually redeemed it. In other words, he made it good in his time and in his purpose. So again, everyone understands that. Everyone understands the joy that comes
Everybody
at the end of
understands
ending
that.
suffering.
The
And
leukemia girl's totally going to enjoy heaven more.
that's an eternal joy. So it's not like you just spend 10 years suffering on this earth and you go to heaven, you get 10 years suffering free. No, you get to rejoice that your suffering is over for all eternity. So that's suffering. Another question I get.
Rusty Walker says, does it follow that it is a Christian obligation to make everybody suffer as much as possible to make sure they really appreciate how good heaven is? I think so, Rusty. That seems to be.
They seem to try to make things a lot of times as hard as possible for most people.
Yeah. There's not just look out for all that Christian love. That's all we're saying.
I don't know what Slaanesh is. What is Slaanesh?
Slaanesh, which is the the pain god in one of the tabletop games that is eluding my head right now. But yes, a god who has as much evidence going for them as I think they're the god of pleasure as well.
Horus,
but has as much evidence for his Yahweh, Warhammer. Thank you.
Or Zeus.
Chaos, God of War. Woohoo! And which I love. Once again, we're sending love for tabletop games out there. Once again, there is as much canon mythology as for Warhammer as there is for Yahweh. And just as a devoted fan base, I will say.
If not more so.
Sometimes it's about animal suffering. So, like,
but
what about
more
animals?
Interesting than the Bible.
I'm not going to talk about whether animals go to heaven or not. I'm going to be honest. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happens to them.
Oh, I love that. Just another a low-grade pot shot at other animals. I love.
I mean, they do debate it. Like, oh, do animals have souls? Do they? And there's some scriptures that seem to suggest they might. I think most Christians would say they probably don't, but it's not explicit. So it's one of those things you can kind of just think whatever you want to think.
And a lot of them will say, well, oh, my dog does, but not the ants, not the others. So they draw lines in the sand. But I don't know how you could possibly do that. But
well, some pastors they kind of just take say what people want to hear. So, like, Pastor, do you think there are pets could be in heaven? And well, like, sure, Sally, why? If you love your pets, then why would God not provide them for you in heaven? It's going to be perfect. It's going to be happy. So of course they'll be there. Of course, the same doesn't apply to your non-believing friends. They'll be down there burning, but you won't think any thoughts about them. You won't feel bad for them at all. You'll be transformed by his love to no longer care about your loved ones that are burning in hell. Yeah.
I get this from atheists quite a bit is, what about animal suffering? Because, of course, the heaven principle only applies to human suffering.
Yeah, not other animals.
What I'm going to say is going to sound maybe cold, but I believe...
Not that everything you have said so far sounded so warm and cuddly, but once again, I love those statements. This is like a statement. That's what you say when you're about to say, like, I don't mean to sound racist, but no, continue. We'll give you the... I'm
not trying to sound cold, but what does it matter if animals suffer? Who cares? They're here for us.
Exactly.
I believe it's the true answer to the question, especially from the atheist point of view. The first question would be, why do you care? Like, what?
Once again.
Did I call that one? Who cares?
Yeah, who cares? Oh, they're just dumb cats and dogs and other sentient beings like dolphins. No, actually, we're the only people that can care. In fact, the only agents that we know of, the atheist of the month is here. No autographs here. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, please tighten your anus because he's here. And I think both of us are queer. So it's we're doing good. What is up,
You're on the right track.
What is up, Ken Lee? Woohoo! That's
Super
right.
inner circle atheist. Yeah.
Very much. We are only the inner circle atheists are allowed here. You have to throw babies in volcanoes. You have to, in fact, you have to have a quota of babies in volcanoes, I believe.
You have to sodomize Kenthoven.
Oh my! But who doesn't? Yeah, it's a good time. In fact, I've had a 3-way with Kent and Darth, which we don't like to talk about. But
that would be scary. Oh God!
Whew. And I won't let you know who tops who in that one.
I imagine it alternated like a merry-go-round.
Oh, I did it. But yes, if you just joined us, we are talking about apparently the absurdity of atheism. And like he did a good 3 minutes where people are like, oh, he's being very rational. Wait, what is he even talking about? No, he's sounding
the stuff maker. The stuff maker.
Stuff comes from stuff makers. You can't argue with that
maker. Logic. Come on. Hey, Dale.
That's right. Mary was there too.
Mary Baxter.
Sending so much love because we're getting it back, and especially from this guy, who, like I said, he just has these like youth pastor hat on backwards. How are you doing, fellow young people?
Skateboard, but if he ever got on it, he'd probably break his leg.
Whoa. Yeah. Yes, exactly. But he's doing his best.
In the atheist, what in a non-believer makes them care about other life?
Yo,
because the Word of God seems
how easy it is to care about cats and dogs.
Empathy.
To have empathy. And like the analogy I often use is that like petting a dog or a cat on the head is like eating a free candy bar. You can literally feel the dopamine just squeezing out of your brain. I don't understand it. Like you see the cat's happy, you see you're happy.
You're happy that they're happy.
You're happy that you're happy. You can't even help yourself. I can't help it. Like Rachel makes so many jokes. Like I make so many jokes when I have especially a meat-oriented meal, like a steak. Me and the dog. It's like a family meal.
Cooper.
I can't. Yes, because Cooper's like, oh my God, Amy. Did you know I'm your best friend? We've always been best friends. I love you. And so I can't even help it. I literally can't even help it because I give him, I eat, he eats, and then I just feel good about it. I literally, free dopamine. I don't know what else to say. It's evolutionary shown.
Ryder, for some reason, like his favorite thing in the world is pizza. The dog loves pizza. When he sees pizza come home in the house, yeah.
I'm not gonna have any disagreements here with pizza.
No, he loves it. Go ahead.
But no, we are almost about halfway through. We are going to try and go. Like I said, I swear for an open mic, it may be like a half an hour. But we are we're plowing through the Absurdity of Atheism by Chris Avell. And that's right. Come on to Candy Mountain. Come on, Amy. Candy Mountain. I don't want to go to Candy Mountain. Look fine. Okay.
To express that life has value, but that's not a value we should just take for granted as if that's a
Also, life has value. The same dude who is just trying to convince you that dogs aren't going to heaven.
Thing that we should feel if we don't have God. Why would we value life in general? Like, why would a cat have any more worth than a napkin? What really matters is what's
important. A napkin suffer.
Then, right? If I need a napkin, it's a napkin. If I need a cat, it's a cat. I see your face. So why ask the question?
Why do
Like,
people have pet cats instead
does,
of pet
does a
napkins?
cell phone have any meaning to me? Like if it dies or if it suffers, it doesn't. It's my creation.
What?
You know, like I didn't actually invent cell phones, just, you know.
Oh,
But again, why do
yo, Dr. Stuff, thank you. I thought you and Steve Jobs were like on the same level. So thank you for at least helping
and
us
Al Gore, did
understand
he
that.
invent the
Yes,
internet?
exactly. Which is funny. He gets a lot of shit. Al Gore was on the project while he was in the Air Force, and the Air Force and the military did create the early internet. But yes, it is just a funny claim to think that anyone could help like that. But yeah, Dr. Stuff, he's really giving it
Yes,
to
the
us.
question, the purpose that they're asking the question, the reason they're so concerned about animal suffering is because they know at the very core that suffering is not
Bad?
good, and that animal suffering is not a place it should be. But also the problem gets worse for the atheist on that is
what? Yeah, we know suffering is bad, and it only gets worse from there.
He said worse for the atheist. Yeah.
I'm
I don't
sorry.
know where he's. I can't even.
I'm gonna be
where he's going with this.
I'm gonna reach my peak serial moment. Here's my peak serial moment. If you were to walk along the walls of Auschwitz, scribbled in fingernail and blood, reads, "If God exists, he may beg for my forgiveness."
And
not seeing the whole suffering point. Not feeling it.
And of course, as I've said, in that scenario, once the person was killed in Auschwitz, they actually went to a much, much, much worse place.
Yeah, depending. Yeah.
Assuming they were Jewish or not a Christian, they would have gone to God, who would have immediately threw them into hell because they didn't believe in Jesus. So actually, they would have, as bad as it was, as horrible as those camps were with the human suffering, it was way better than what God had in store for them.
Exactly. It was all fun and games until...
Yeah. Hey, the Nazis were not so bad compared to God.
Compared to what was just to begin in their suffering.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Praise God. Hallelujah.
Yeah, exactly.
If they're truly so concerned about suffering, like if they're sincere about suffering,
and we're doing pretty good because we don't have this dude's Dr. Stuff's here's belief. If you don't know, he has just released a syllogism that all stuff comes from a stuff maker. So it's a very
when he makes stuff,
it's a complex argument. It deals with lots of math that he probably pulled from his butt.
The stuff that he makes,
the stuff that he makes. Once again, very sorry to her. Mm-hmm.
Why do they cause it? In other words, that very person who will ask that question and be very offended that God would allow an animal to suffer has lied to people and caused people to suffer, has cheated on people and caused people to suffer, has betrayed people and caused people to suffer. That very person who's so concerned about suffering on the one hand is a person who causes suffering on the other hand. We all do it. I do it. So I'm not blaming the atheist. I'm just saying that the question is disingenuous. It's not real. It's absurd. It's just an opportunity they see to try and put down God, because again, they're so concerned with suffering on the one hand, and yet they're so willing to on the other.
Because
so the last
humans, we do not have the power unilaterally to end all suffering. God does. We can't snap our finger and make everything good and everybody happy, end all suffering. God can. So that's on him for not doing it. We don't have that ability.
If we could end suffering, I think most of us would actually choose to do that. And that's the difference between us and God.
But God he's so much smarter than us, and he knows how important this suffering is. So I guess that's why he doesn't do it. because
Exactly.
it's good for us.
We can't understand the 4D chess.
Right.
Get real quick is which God, right? So there's many gods. Not in reality, I wouldn't believe, but there's many gods throughout history. We talked about the old Greek and Roman gods, and certainly today you can find different faith systems. Allah and others. And I would ask the question one. When I look in the Bible, here's why I believe in the God I believe in. When I look in the Bible, I look at things like I just told you, like Hebrews 11:3, and I say that's incredible. Like that is a scientific statement that lines up exactly to what I see today. I mean, the Bible smack dab flat out says that God made the universe out of nothing that we understand, nothing visible, nothing tangible, nothing. We can't just say, well, God made the universe out of cat hair. And so it lines up perfectly, but not in just that point. In so many points, it lines up perfectly. But I would also say this is I've studied other religions, not all of them. There's so many, but the main ones.
Yeah.
And in all of them, the problem with them is ultimately, in the end, you are God, meaning you, whoever you are, me, I am God. Why? Because ultimately, you decide your eternity. But the unique thing about the Christian faith is we are claiming that it is 100% God. And in my view, in my logic and my understanding, and maybe of others you could share with me, that's the only way he could truly be God, is if he's the one who makes a sovereign decision over all. If he's the one that decides.
He's making the Calvinist
decide.
Argument. Oh. He's making he went full Calvinist there. Will would be happy.
Oh my. Okay, that was fun. Give me 1 second, ladies and gents. We were about...
Who doesn't believe I need it. The stuff maker. It's just obvious. It's so obvious that you have to come up with these long, complicated, complex theories and possibilities that require quantity upon quantity of time, quantity upon quantity of universes, quantity upon quantity. You have to come up with these things. Why? Because it's plain. The reality is that there's actually one, and it is God. And he said this, being understood from what is made. And I'll tell you, the more and more and more we study, right? The more and more we study what has been made.
Bullshit.
We study the universe. We study the world. We study matter. We study energy. The more and more we study, the more and more we see the only way this works
is with a God.
Is if there is some intelligence.
Oh, really?
That is beyond anything in our existence.
Mm-hmm.
And it says this, we exchange the truth.
And you know what's funny? Once again, he's telling us what we believe. He's not telling us why. What really converted him, except for apparently very early on, he was like, oh my God, I had been an atheist for years. And then I read the Bible, and it said in the Bible that everyone knows that a God exists. I have revealed myself. And I was like...
Because it was made plain by the creation. Because, whoa, Amy, there's stuff. There had to be a stuff maker. I never thought of that before. Why is there something rather than nothing? You don't know, therefore God.
It's true. And he wrote his thesis on stuff, which was brave, but...
PhD, yeah.
Yes, exactly. He wrote his PhD thesis on it.
Stuffology.
But honestly, when you're working with stuffology, you got to push the stuff to the limit.
For lie, which actually means that atheists, like I used to be, had the truth. We just chose to give it away,
ladies and gentlemen.
Like we knew it.
He was.
You know there's a God, Amy.
I can't help saying it.
You know God
that
is
credibility.
real.
And can I tell you, when atheists say we used to be theists, I mean, we're only using that because that's our story. But all these times, I love I was the inner circle atheist, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, being a former theist, I think, does help you understand the mind of theism and what motivates theists and what. And I guess if you were a former atheist, you would have a glimpse of atheism. But just the reasoning, the reasons that you like when they give their reasons for converting, is usually like very low level, base level theistic talking points, and it's not.
I understand. I understand.
It happens.
No, I mean, these guys spend time and day trying to mental gymnastics the science out of the classroom, out of our country, out of countries around the world. Unfortunately. So, because these guys are the enemies a lot of time of science. They are the enemies of evolution, the Big Bang, the Earth getting warmer, sometimes the Earth being round. Command Cyborg, what is up? Says, didn't some version of Hinduism get 13 billion years? Sort of, right? Also, Kitty. Only I think it wasn't the age of the universe, but the Earth or something like that. Yes, I do believe it. I think it was Hinduism. I do know for 90% sure that one of the religions got it fairly close.
Ballpark.
That's cool. My thing is with that is it's not a miracle. It's impressive, but it's the same thing that I find impressive when humans created the pyramids way back when. In other words, humans did something correctly. They guessed it right, either by
It was a lucky
guessing
guess at that point.
and I'll tell you, there might have been people that use science, that actually use science, and then it just got put in there. Like, I'll give you an example, is we knew the world was round for thousands of years. And people used the equivalent of science. It wasn't peer-reviewed, but they tested. They actually went out and did the experiment themselves. And so I'm okay with
They found evidence for it.
In fact, what I find is what people normally do is they insult our ancestors so that they can make a miracle. They go, look how dumb these people were back then. They couldn't do anything. And look what they figured out. It's like this double-edged compliment. Like, they figured that they were actually right about something. No. Sometimes they get it right. The thing is, we have to search long and hard for religion, for like the one or two things
clock
that
is
religion
right twice a day. I think the age of the universe came from cosmology. I don't think there's any way they could have had any advanced knowledge of that. I think
that's
in that case it was a lucky guess, but they could use science on some things and find out answers that maybe other people didn't know. But see, the religion, they make so many claims. Even if 99% of them turn out to be false, then they'll just hold up the 1% that aren't and say, look, it proves our religion. Just don't read the rest of it.
They use dogs as an example of like this crazy thing when it's really, that is artificial selection. That is the one time that we actually sped things up. But really the process takes hundreds of thousands, millions, sometimes billions of years, though you can see evolution being real in artificial selection. In fact, you can't have artificial selection.
Well, that's what like Ken Hovind brought up when he was talking to Aaron Ra. He's like, look, if they found in the ground the skulls of like a bulldog, a chihuahua, and a golden retriever, they would think they were three different species. They would have no idea. And it's like, yeah, because you would never have that type of divergence in nature that would have, that's artificial selection. That doesn't happen in
And also, if I
world.
may say, almost all of the features are superficial that we've changed. Like if you were to do, if you were to compare bone structures of the different dogs, they would still look the same.
The shape of the face, the shape of some of them, or the size, they are different, but
we have changed their colors, the sizes. We've changed all of the artificial things that we think. But the walking on four legs with the canines, with the Cats and dogs handle going to the bathroom differently. Sorry for anyone who's eating.
I don't know that you could do that with every species would have that type of variability that they had with the Asiatic wolves to be able to do that. I'm not sure. I don't think you could take elephants and do that same type of thing and have such wide divergence in all species.
And also, I would like to add an addendum, because talking about things you maybe not a change or evolve when new data, because I think we had a discussion about the definition of evolution. I kind of have amended it because I think that Beamsy had a point, and that I was maybe explaining natural selection, and then I missed one important point at the beginning, which is that evolution is through the successive generations of populations. You then have genes randomly mutating and the environment naturally selecting them. So maybe that was a more full picture of the time scale and how the mechanism actually picks it.
Because it doesn't actually become evolution until it gets passed down from parent to child.
Exactly.
Mutation.
Well, and people often ask, like, which race is more evolved and stuff. It's like, no, that is a terrible question. Do you know who's more evolved? Yeah. Your child is 0.0011% more evolved than you are. And that is basically, in fact,
the fish today are no less evolved than
a fish. If there is a turtle that was born on your birthday, you are exactly the same amount evolved as they are.
It's not like they're trying to evolve to become us. That's not how it works.
Exactly. There is no goal. That's the other thing. As if there's like, they're trying to be human.
They have to find a pathway, then the amphibian can then become a reptile, and then that can diverge and they can become mammals. They'll never become mammals.
And I want to say this I'll say this, and then we'll transition back to the absurdity of atheism. But the only reason we talk about evolution at all is because it is a target of the anti-scientific, pro-religious, pseudoscientific movement. It's the only reason we talk about it. I tie it with creationism. You almost can't talk about one without the other, because they have declared war on it. And what are you going to do if you declare war? You have to at least defend.
Right.
So, though James and I will often point out, we're just schmucks. We're explaining what the experts say. This isn't our opinion. This is what the people who got paid and trained and experimented in the field say. What is up, Sinister? And her lovely hats. And
mushrooms
so
are more
long,
evolved.
long, and thanks for all the fish.
Live long and prosper.
It kind of reminds me of this thing, like this entitlement. Like, have you ever seen someone entitled today? Kind of like this thing, like, can you imagine, like, if I were a kid, like living in my dad's house?
I couldn't imagine you making childish, like, arguments. Hey, James, did you know that stuff comes from a stuff maker?
No, I never knew that. Pizza comes from a pizza maker.
And let's say he just gave me every good gift. He just like everything I had. Let's do untangible things.
Rocks
like,
come from rocks.
Oh my! Let's do untangible things, baby.
And my ability to speak, and he gave me my ability to interpret the world, and to discover and to have adventure and to enjoy fun, to have fun and communicate. He gave me all these gifts.
Thanks, Dad.
Right? And I'm like, thanks for all these gifts, and now you're dead to me. And so I like took these gifts, let's say, and I ran away from the home, and I'm like, you're dead to me now. Like, you don't exist. And I lived as if he didn't exist. But I was using the very gifts he gave me. That would be just the picture of this most spoiled little brat ever, right? Who takes all the gifts the father gave him and declares him dead and runs away and denies he even exists. But here's the good news. It's like, if my dad loved me, if he really loved me, like, maybe, just maybe, I could go back and maybe he'd accept me and just to kind of like live in the house, and maybe I could do some chores for him.
But what if your dad hides from you?
He's dealing with personal stuff right now. I just want to take a time out, okay? Chris has been going through a lot. Dad, please. I love you too.
Yeah, but what if your dad hides himself from you and he pretends like he doesn't exist, and you can never see him, and he never answers your calls, and
He went out for cigarettes so long ago.
I mean, it's not a father's. We don't know that he exists. He doesn't make himself known to us that way.
No, not physically. Yeah. Once again, if you said you had a relationship with someone, but not physically. Okay. Have you ever met them physically? No. Do you? I mean, if God could just pick something up, put something down, pick something up, is that really so all-powerful?
Tide goes in, tide goes out, though. I mean,
well, I just don't understand. And they criticize us for wanting empirical, but empirical just means testable. Testable, and you can show everyone around you.
Tangible. In the real physical world?
I don't know. It doesn't seem that hard.
It's something like he'd accept me back, right? But what actually would happen is
this guy looks like someone else, a comedian or something. I don't know who.
Ricky Gervais.
You know who he looks like? I've been watching a lot of Impractical Jokers lately. He looks like one of the Impractical Jokers.
Yeah, like
that's who it is.
There you go.
Like when I went back, he was waiting. Like he was just waiting to invite me into his house and to love me and to care for me, even though I took everything he'd given to me and I used it to abuse him. And that's exactly what happened to me. I took every gift God gave me, including the gift of thinking and pursuing knowledge. I used it to deny his very existence so I could live just however I thought I wanted to live. But
another silly claim that they always make. I was just doing whatever I wanted. I was basically partying, going crazy, and not caring about what anyone thought about my actions. Okay, so you were an a-hole. Good. Okay. No, look, we all actually go through a selfish stage. Like he was saying earlier, it's generally called adolescence.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully
Tier you eventually level.
Yeah, I know. As T-Jump would say, welcome to philosophy kindergarten. But eventually you generally go and you meet other people and you see other worldviews and you're like, wow. You get all Owen Wilson about it, and you start to see that people are like you and not like you in their views and ways. Your worldview expands. Whoa.
Up being completely dead. Just dead.
Dead.
The world really never gave me what I needed. And I ran back home to him and I confessed to him.
He says as he uses technology, he sits there on a computer by lights with computer screens. He wears clothes that probably got processed by factories and warehouses and shipping departments. Probably had a sandwich that was grown by agriculture. Just, I could go on and on. But hey, definitely God. He needs
hair
God.
Gel that was made in a factory. And
oh my.
Blue pills to keep the wife happy, made in a pharmaceutical
company. That's
company.
what he did, and he brought me back in.
Oh,
so that's kind of
the double-blind study. Another thing that if you could just get God to pass that kind of test, that'd be great. Thank you.
Some of my story and someone I wanted to talk about today. Sorry if I spoke quick. It's hard for me without my notes here to kind of
quick.
My mind. So hopefully, I had some value today. But I'm hoping even more so in the question and answer now.
This is about, ladies and gentlemen, this has been him just having a short speech without notes. So can imagine what it would be with notes.
We can talk about these things and I can answer your questions. So thank you. And let me pray. Heavenly Father, I thank you for you. Lord, I thank you that we live in a world where you are just undeniable.
Undeniable. Yet we deny it.
James, deny it. Yes,
Lord,
there we go.
I pray that no one here would live in the absurdity of atheism. Lord, that we would see the truth and be set free. That we would follow you faithfully. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Ramen. So is there really going to be a question? Are we going to... should we go Derper? maybe we should open to the open
it
mic.
up, and we'll just let him go for a little bit longer.
We'll let
and
him
then once
go.
we start,
Exactly. We wanted to at least show the opposing view on the absurdity of atheism. I swear that it's just so funny. If I were just to cut the first 3 minutes of his speech and play nothing else, you'd be like, what a rational theist who understands us. And then he just goes and spits over, well, whatever the hell he thinks science rationality is, whatever he thinks atheists are, because we often get strawmanned and stereotyped.
A little bit.
What's up, Big Screen Bird?
Hey, Bird.
Prayers works as good as saying words out loud. And can I say that is such an important topic, because I both I'll say this. I understand. I'll start by saying I understand when you can't do anything. I've been there where you want to do something. There's like, why? There's literally, it's like you're on a chessboard and there's no moves and you feel stuck. And I think what prayer does for a lot of theists is, when you can do nothing, it makes you feel like you're doing something. Man, I can't do anything, but at least I'm praying. I'm sending a message to God or anybody out there. I'll take a pot shot at anything down to the deistic line. Because, man, if you think there is, or maybe not, maybe the theistic line, however you want to splice it, a person that's going to respond, I hate to tell you, but not only is there no evidence that anyone is out there to answer you, as Georgie Carlin would say, Joe DiMaggio seems to respond at about the same rate as prayer to the traditional God, but he knows how to handle a lot of the unsolved prayers with the bat that I was just showing before. And there's actually studies to show that if you know that you're being prayed for, especially when you're being trying to heal or recover, that you will do worse. And the given most hypothesis right now is that they are having performity anxiety, and they're like, oh, I'm being prayed for. All right, Becky is like telling me to get well, and I need to get well, or Becky's going to lose her faith in God. Oh, hi, Mark. I love me some... The meme movie escapes me. It was a good time. But we're sent in love. I think we're gonna have to send the link into chat so that we can start the open mic. We'll play the absurdity of atheism as he's answering questions, possibly just while people are onboarding. But it has been a roller coaster. That is all I can say. Are you any less? Do you feel absurd, James, for being an atheist?
No more than usual. No more than after Ken Hovind encounter.
Oh my! Which we are all set to get one.
An intensive encounter with Bob Larson. Intensive intervention. That's where you pay him like $3,000 and he works with you for a day. For a day.
He sends those emojis right
into actually consists of like 4 hours, 5 hours for several $1,000s.
They're selling the invisible product. They are selling a God that they cannot prove. Results that they cannot attest to, and the misfires that they have no explanations for, except for God works in mysterious ways.
It's part of his plan, Amy. His ways are different than our ways, and we just we can't. Sometimes
Way
we just
different.
can't know. Yeah.
And all right, we were basically looking. You can, if you want, check out his Q&A section. We have always talk about and like to give shout outs to whatever channel the opposing view is, just because if their views stand, then our commentary of maybe a little bit of criticism won't have any effect.
Hey,
The pie will be on our face.
we'll be eating crow.
Eating crow, exactly. Also, crow are highly intelligent animals who they probably also look down on. Unless you're Rick, then you
without a
know
doubt.
how important crows are.
Or Chrissy.
But all right, so let's get some final thoughts, because we got Mark Reed
It's 5
and
a.m.
Beamsy.
Eastern time.
Exactly. I'm trying to think. We have 2 debates coming up.
Gizmo is over there.
We have, like I said, a whole bunch of fun, like channel badges that will evolve. That we have emojis. I want to get not just fun stuff like from us that are just question marks and being skeptical and all, and woohoos. I'll have woohoos and is a myth and stuff like that for James hashtag. But we want to get more fun stuff. We want to get look at the trees. We want to get a whole bunch. I'm trying to think what the other one was, but we also want your input. So please leave in the comment section of this video, and I'll remind you at the end. But if you want a specific type of emoji, if you think there is a specific type of YouTuber, Twitcher, the debater in the community, if you think there is a good fallacy that you think would be specifically funny and you think it could apply, yeah, exactly, then there is a chance that it will become an emoji. So go out there. I'd also like to make some of them even into shirts,
Patreon,
like a merchant of doubt.
Patreon.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, and I'll say this is the last thing, we're queuing up for the open mic, because we are done the opposing view, unless you agree with him, in which case you can come on the open mic and agree with him. But basically, we just want to showcase and get that support back to you guys. The trailer for Avatar 2 comes out right now in the Doctor Strange films. Why is that important? Well, first of all, in a week, it'll be on YouTube for the YouTube community. Heyo. And after, I am going to be doing a breakdown of one of James Cameron's, a little video. It's an indie film, and why it has a lot to do with mythical structure. So look forward to a whole bunch of premieres and how to make a whole bunch of pre-production and post-production, so that if you are a non-believer or even a believer, as long as you are out there and you want to be creative and you like hearing me be comical, it feels so good.
Feels good,
then I would like to help pass some of my fancy certificates of whatever the hell the debt on to you. So with that, I think that's enough preambling myself. Shilling, exactly. So sending love. Let's start the open mic. We are talking about the absurdity of atheism. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. So let's bring on Mark Reed and Beamsy. But if you agree, disagree, the link in chat is pinned, and keep on sending your comments to James W. and myself at Amy Newman. Let's have some fun. Let's start the open mic. What is up, Mark? We hope you are
Hello.
having a beautiful night, morning, day. I hope that you didn't have too much of a man. I want to say, would brain aneurysm being too mean. I hope you're enjoying a fantastic night as we watched The Absurdity of Atheism. What are your thoughts about the video or the topic itself?
I got a lot of thoughts. This guy, I've never heard of this guy before, like ever heard of him before. So it's
That's
kind of
probably a good
strange.
thing.
Neither.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing. I don't think he's got much traction or following, and it was very interesting what he did. I mean, I get used to be an atheist, and that's kind of irritating because it doesn't really speak to truth about anything. I think both sides do that. People do say, "Oh, I used to be a Christian, and then I, got a sense of reality and stuff." So it doesn't bother me that much, but he certainly wasn't an expert on anything but stuff, and I'm not sure where he got his qualification for stuff from. Yeah, definitely not scientific, but it's really interesting. Yeah, doctorate and stuff. It's really interesting the way that he framed this, right? He had two major objections that he identified as when he was an atheist, like straight off the bat, and they're big ones: the burden of proof and the problem of evil, which are, sort of, even other Christians will say, hey, they are very strong objections, but here's how we're going to handle them. They do acknowledge that the objections are both strong. And then he just ignored them completely and went for like an argument from incredulity. Things like the fine-tuning argument. This cannot have been occurring naturally, kind of thing. It's weird what he framed after that was that God has these invisible properties. It's like, well, if they're invisible, how do you know they exist? Like these qualities, you're saying, well, you can't find these qualities because they are. I mean, he was using the word invisible. I think he probably meant sort of intangible or ephemeral or some other word, because we can find invisible things.
Mark, you have to be careful. In his PhD thesis program, I don't think they went over all of those words.
Well, yeah. Well, but the thing is, here's the thing. It's like we can find invisible, like just because something's not in the visible light spectrum doesn't mean we can't find it. We can certainly find like electricity and atoms, and we can find this stuff. It's not visible. We can find it. It's and he basically gave God as an answer. Like he's like, well, why am I here? Where are we from? Yeah, God's an answer. But then how do you go about showing that answer is true? Just because you have an answer doesn't mean that is the correct answer. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like that idea that some theists don't like not having an answer. So any answer will do. Like he didn't know why he was here. He didn't know where he was from. Someone said, hey, God's an answer. And he's like, well, yeah, that's an answer. I can believe in that. Well, skeptics kind of go, not can I believe in it, but should I believe in it? Is it true? Is the ideal thing to say? And his Apple, his thing of box of stuff analogy, which is totally thing. I thought a better analogy would be you come and you find an apple on the ground. Well, did it fall from a tree? Did somebody place it there? A box of stuff, we know that isn't a naturally occurring thing, but you're basically trying to say, oh, well, the universe isn't naturally occurring, so we know that somebody placed it there. It's like, well, hang on a second. How do you know that the universe isn't naturally occurring?
Also, Mark, how dare you say? Are you saying his argument a la stuff was not eloquent?
His stuff argument was terrible. It was a terrible analogy. Absolutely terrible. And like the weirdest argument in there was like, well, I have 14 billion years. I'm going to convert that to money. It's like, what? Like, why? Like, yeah, we realize that, hey, if you have 14 billion years and you convert it to money, that's not a lot. Yeah, and if you convert it to, hemorrhoids, that's an awful lot. That makes me real. So, like, why are you converting it? Like, we all know that, if you have 2 eyes, that's great. If you have, $2, you're poor. Like, why would you make this error of saying, hey, 14 billion isn't a lot if you change it into something else?
For the budget of the U.S. government, which is like over $1 trillion a year.
Trillions. But why would you do that? Like, if you have 14 billion dogs, you have an absolute why are you changing what they are and saying, well, actually it's not a lot because if you change it into something else, well, yeah. That was one of the weirdest arguments I've ever
like
heard.
Ken Hovind says there are trillions of stars. Everybody on Earth could own over 1 trillion of them. Well, you're trying to say, Kent, there's a lot of stars? We know there's a lot of stars. What does that mean?
Yeah, that's not news.
We know that.
Yeah. And sort of, if you're simply saying, hey, because it's a large number, I'm incredulous that it actually exists. It's like, well, it's a large number. Yeah, we know that things do happen in very large numbers. It's not, it's such a weird argument. And this is why I'm getting back to the argument from incredulity. It seemed almost like he was saying, well, I can't believe all of this stuff, stuff is there for any other reason but God. Because I'm incredulous that it all happened naturally, I'm going to believe in a God. But here also, and I want to raise the false dichotomy that I often refer to, and that's the dichotomy of it either occurred naturally as part of a process or it's God. And that's actually a false dichotomy because there are other things. And by the way I'm using natural here is natural versus artificial. Like they're saying, oh, because it's so hard to believe it occurred naturally, it had to be artificial. But it could have been aliens. It could have been magic. There's a billion other possibilities of what it could be. I don't believe in any of them because there's no evidence for them. In fact, the only thing we've seen create things is natural process. I find it hard to believe any of them, but that's where he's basically saying, hey, the dichotomy is it either occurred through a natural process or God exists. And that's not true.
A dichotomy at all.
It's not a true dichotomy, but that's the way he's framing it. And throwing there sort of the God of the gaps.
And Mark, can I just bounce off on why supernatural drives me crazy, because it would be natural or non-natural. Like supernatural is a PR term. It would be supernatural or not supernatural.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm undecided about that one because we only have found the natural. Everybody agrees on that. Science and people have only found the natural, except those people claiming the supernatural. I don't exclude a supernatural for the same reason that I can't exclude.
It's not that I'm excluding it. I'm saying it's not a true dichotomy to say the natural world and the supernatural world. That's not a true.
No, I get that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's all I'm saying is that because I could say the supernatural may exist. I don't know, because I always find the word super to be this like very loose, very vague. I mean, that's why McDonald's will supersize it. Is that an infinity? Is that just double? Does that mean transcend? The word super. And so to me, it would be the universe, or actually I'd rephrase it this way. There is the natural world and the unnatural, there is the natural or the unnatural, and there would either be the supernatural and the not supernatural.
Well, the true dichotomy is actually natural or not natural. That is the true dichotomy.
But that I guess that is my point and separation just between the natural and the supernatural, is that they try and make it like it is this one versus the other, when I feel like it's a PR term. They have to prove the supernatural from the get-go, not even a reverse from the natural.
Well, no doubt they have to demonstrate in some way that this supernatural condition does actually exist. But you are right that it's and the other thing that they do is conflate natural versus supernatural or not natural, and natural versus artificial, as in man-made.
Absolutely.
Or man-made or created by some other organism, because a beaver dam is not a naturally occurring structure. It just isn't. Something with a mind has gone out of its way to actually construct that thing. So they conflate these two words to say, well, if something's not natural, a mind has to have created it, and that's not essentially true. Magic could not have a mind, and it could be supernatural as they're using it. That's not a god. And I think that's what I'm pointing out, that they're kind of using this very, very fuzzy language to try and smuggle God into that not natural, as the only thing in that not natural category. There can't be anything else that's not natural except for God.
They're trying to smuggle a muggle.
They are trying to smuggle a muggle. Absolutely. There's nothing.
I'm sorry.
Isn't that just regular people smuggling?
That now that I think about it, that is 100%. That's just kidnapping, I think, a human.
Yeah. And the other problem I have is with this whole idea of created. Things are created. It's really weird because things don't just come into existence. And I've always had a problem with this. And you know, I must admit, I'm not a physics major or anything like that, but it seems to me that things are never created, not in the sense that they come into being. Things just change state. So we change the state of energy and make it into something else. You know, we change the state of chemicals and another reaction produces something. Rarely never is anything just created out of thin air. So their ideas of how was the universe created is very strange. And you know, the hilarity of somebody who said I'm not a scientist talking about quantum mechanics and totally getting it wrong is weird. And the one of the weirdest things he said was that, you know, atheists, why are you supposed to care about life, kind of thing. And I want to put that beside another thing that said, like, why would atheists care about other creatures, other life? And then you put it beside, you know, how can an atheist think that everything is connected? You know, everything is related to one another. Just put those side by side for a second. So if you do believe everything is related to one another, why would you not care about other life? Like, why would that be the case? Obviously, I care about my family, the people that are related to me most closely, and then, you know, friends who are not related, but they still are. And then we have this hierarchy of caring about things further and further. But if everything's related to us and all life is connected by a common thread of being related, then why wouldn't we care about them? This is an argument from morality, because as an atheist, he knows he cared about animals and stuff, right? He would have to. But so he's saying that atheists shouldn't care about stuff because they have no morals to do so, which is just such a ridiculous argument. It's just an argument from morality dressed up as something else. It's a ludicrous argument. Why I care about animals is the same reason I care about my family, just not as much, because they aren't as closely related to me as my family. I don't see any problem with that. And there's certain things about animals, like something in the eyes and commonalities and things that they do, that make us care about them more. For instance, otters with their big eyes and their human-like hands and the way that they're sort of incredibly cute to us, we care about them more than, say, you know, a spider or something. And that's just human nature. That's just the human.
That's why dolls look cute to us, and they have those big
Sure.
type eyes and stuff.
It's like
Sure.
if we see a snake eating a creature, we feel a mammal, we feel more empathy for the creature. But then if we find a snake covered in hundreds of ticks, then we kind of empathize more with the poor snake, because it's still closer to us than a tick, even though they're both just animals trying to survive on the planet.
And that's simple empathy, and you see that
Yeah.
throughout the animal kingdom, especially with social mammals. I mean, you can. I believe I saw a video once of a sort of a bison or a wildebeest save a zebra from a gator. You know, this isn't human morality. This is empathy as something that carries over between the animal kingdom. And it's sort of weird that you
Also, you
can't.
just earned your Australian card for the night.
What?
What?
We don't have wildebeest. What are you talking about? We don't have zebras. What are you talking about?
All these
Oh,
strange
really?
notions we have about Aussies. Poor. We have to empathize with you guys. You guys must deal with it a lot.
What's that? What do we deal with?
All the.
Oh no, I think Mark was
people
saying
have
he
about-
doesn't have them there.
No, he doesn't. Yeah.
No, we don't get many crocs where I am, but they definitely are in the northern.
Oh, well then let me reframe my quote. James, where you live, there's lots of crocodiles.
No, alligators down in
Alligators?
Florida.
Alligators.
Yeah, the American
Yeah.
alligators.
I'm 0 for 2.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. We're not doing a biology show, luckily for me.
But yes, Mark.
Yeah.
Final thought, and then we're going to send love into chat, and then we're gonna bring Beamsy on and have open conversation. I don't know. Has he convinced you? Do you feel absurd that you're an atheist?
No, and this was just the sort of Christianity versus atheism greatest hits with a bit of dressing on it. Oh, I used to be an atheist, and this is why I. Basically, it should have been called I was an atheist and I was absurd for thinking that. It really is just stupid arguments dressed up as something else, and with the atheist thing just tacked on the end of it. Terrible. That's my thought.
Woohoo! Thank you so very much, Mark.
Thank you.
And with that, stick around for the open conversation. But I do want to send so much love to Doorknob Head. Woohoo! Who says, there's $2. Now, you are poor. But sending so much love to Doorknob Head. Woohoo! And with that, we're going to send one more heart and bring on Beamsy. Thank you, Doorknob Head. Woohoo! And thank you, Mark, because I couldn't agree more. Just so many of his points about stuff feel like, I think the word that you used earlier was bull stuff.
Yeah.
A little bit, just a little, not a lot. But let's bring in Beamsy. What is up? We are Skeptic and Ranting on Is Atheism Absurd? I hope you are doing fantastic tonight. And what are your thoughts about the video, the topic? Normally we ask about tacos.
Hey, Beamsy, good to see you.
Hey, I probably haven't seen so much straw man since the last Scarecrow convention. It's you could go through and just literally have your Scarecrow bingo ready, and you'd be done by the first 5 minutes.
Definitely a lot of straw manning of what we believe.
Sure was a lot of stuff.
And I decided to do some background looking into him, and he admits that he's never been an atheist. He's been a Christian since the day he was born.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so that straight away just puts it straight into relevance of it. Also, people who don't understand physics should really not talk about the aspect of what nothing is in relation to nothing, because the Hawking-Urans experiment has demonstrated what something from nothing is.
I feel like they straw man that phrase over and over and over. I almost always hear it from young Earth creationists. The word nothing.
It's the aspect of people just don't understand what you refer to as nothing. Because if you hold your hand out, you've got nothing in your hand, do you not?
Colloquially speaking, yes.
You have space
Yes, but
time.
then
Yeah.
now in reality, you've actually got nearly 10 kilometers of atmosphere sitting on top of your hand.
Exactly.
So nothing is not nothing, and that's what is very difficult to explain to people. And there is never nothing. So even the absence of anything, that still creates something called vacuum energy. So that's why when you talk about a perfect vacuum, you still got vacuum energy. So you still got energy in the system.
That's why it's so hard to catch nothing. The moment you do, it just escapes.
Well, it's like when Ken Hovind asked Leo Felius, like, "Oh, if I put a jar of space, I get a jar and I put space time in there. Can I watch it expand?" Neil's like, "Actually, you could. It would just be so slow." And
no, that's just two fundamentally different concepts.
yeah. It's straw manning. Trying to take something very complicated and make it reduce it to absurdity.
It's the unfortunate thing is when you actually start talking about complex physics and complex scientific processes, common sense is thrown out the window. That's just the problem with it.
Especially with their favorite two words, quantum mechanics.
If anyone tells you they understand quantum mechanics, they're full of shit.
Exactly.
And the fact that we don't understand it all does not imply a God. It just implies we have more work to do.
Yeah, I couldn't help but have Lucas up when Mark was mentioning spiders.
Yay! I like what's funny, and I openly admit this, that there are certain spiders that freak me out and certain spiders that I find adorable, and it's for all of the stereotypical reasons that are like right above. Like I look at some tarantulas, I know there are people that'll be like, look, there are no spiders that I think are cute. I look at certain tarantulas, I know that they're bite can't break my skin, and they're furry, and they're just rolling around. I'm like, oh. So yeah. But Beamsy, I'll let you say a final thing, and then we're going into open discussion. So
Just go straight into open discussions.
Okay. And we will be on for, I would say, 20 to 25 more minutes, and then we are going into outros. It's our Skeptic and Rantings tend to be shorter open mics because, man, this was a long one.
It took a long time to unpack all that.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it was shoved so far deep.
At least it's not as long as what Kent Hovind is obsessed with.
I was going to say,
you
could have taken that sentence
earlier.
Yeah, I put that on the Discord as well if you wanted to use it.
Oh, him holding the 15-footer? Yeah.
Well, actually, it's only an 11-footer, and it's a sperm whales.
And Kent's very much a size queen, so size matters.
Is he a size queen?
Being on sperm.
Yes, you wouldn't want those things running around.
Why
You know
not?
what?
Just also-
Arachnologist. I think whoever studies spiders, and she used to think spiders were gorgeous. Like they were just every single one was so cute. So it really depends on your perspective, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I do like the little dancing spiders that they found, though. Those are uber cute. The ones that dance, they like hold their arms up and. Ever seen those?
Yes. They go. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah, those are the ones. They're cool.
Yeah, there are not many creatures I don't like. There are some that I think you have to get very meta like fungus. It's hard to like a fungus that would be growing somewhere. But I generally like conscious creatures. I like ants. I like because they're social creatures. I'm trying to think. There are other crows we already talked about. Elephants, dolphins.
Octopus.
Whales are also dolphins. They're or dolphins, whales. They're the same group. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, octopus are also incredibly intelligent.
Octopus are
Oh,
weirdly
very
intelligent
intelligent,
because not only that, but I believe a lot of their the networking nerve endings come in their tentacles. You'd think it's just in here, but it's actually more. Oh, there they go. There he goes.
Beamsy's got a meme for everything.
I'm okay with this. See, that's so adorable.
That is adorable.
Look,
Amy
he is
must hate
trying his
jellyfish.
hardest. What about jellyfish?
In the chat, who's that?
Really? No, I love jellyfish.
Well, it
They're
depends on the
awesome.
jellyfish. There's jellyfish called box jellyfish over here that will kill you dead.
They're
Then
so
again,
small you can't even see them.
And there are some jellyfish
they're tiny.
that have eyes.
That's an Irukandji.
That have fully developed eyes, which I think is both cool and creepy. But
Well, you were saying about like fungus earlier, but if you notice, there's a particular fungus called, well, it's a fungus in a symbiotic relationship with algae. No, it's called lichen, and it basically it's the fungus dissolves the rock, and the algae produces energy from.
That's an actual mutual relationship. The one I was about to talk about is a horrifying relationship.
Oh, you mean the fungus that causes ants to climb up trees and then kill themselves?
Yes.
Yeah.
I find nature so sometimes horrifying. But see, all I can think to that ant is, where's your God now? That's all I can think of.
That comes back to the problem of evil, right? Why is this grotesque suffering, this horrendous experience that we have with brutality and callous indifference in the world, if there is a God looking out for us? And he never actually addressed that. He just said, well, it'll
be better in heaven.
Right, you'll get everything you want, and suffering will end in heaven. But that's not necessarily the case, is it? Like, you don't necessarily have the end of suffering, because something you do that you didn't atone for, or some other condition, depending on the Christian you talk to, may land you in eternal suffering for very little you've done wrong.
And he also kind of took things in a very weird direction. He started to go in, the more horrible something is, the better that it actually was for you. Because just think about it. I mean, if you had a great life and then you continue to have a great life, I mean, that's great, I guess. But I mean, what if you were starving and dying and it was just terrible? And now it's as good as the other guy who had a great life that we've been.
Right. And that's weird. Sort of, and someone in chat actually mentioned Mother Teresa. It wasn't me, somebody else did. And
it is. It's kind of.
And her grotesque views, which was the more you suffer, the holier you are. So she used to do palliative care, but refuse all painkillers, because if you were suffering, the more holy you actually are.
Well, that's how in Catholicism, so they have the doctrine of purgatory. So after you die, if you have sins that haven't been cleansed from your soul, you have to suffer in purgatory. But if you suffer on the earth, that counts against that. So it'll be less time you'll have to spend suffering in purgatory, because you paid for some of your sins on the earth. I guess is a very roundabout way of describing the doctrine.
You've basically done prepay for your sins.
So the more you pay me now or pay me later, suffer now or suffer later. So you won't have the option of getting pain medicine in purgatory. So The longer you're there,
Does God offer different plans?
Prepaid plan for
Yeah,
suffering.
play.
Yeah. Look, and the thing is, and here's the thing: the reason why it doesn't work, the reason why it doesn't work is because God will know who deserves to suffer and who doesn't, kind of thing. Like, why do really bad people still have an incredibly pleasurable life and inflict suffering on others? And if you listen to some Christians, that bad person may, in order to atone for their sins, may have to do nothing except to be saved. And that's the immorality of it, the horrendous immorality of some person that does nothing wrong burns in hell because they haven't been saved, and the most evil person in the world gets eternal paradise just because they have been, and no other reason.
And another thing that he didn't address, because really, if he kind of mental gymnastics his way around that, but he never answered why he became a Christian.
Yeah, he never went there.
Other than, like, if he gave a very quick example, and if that was the example, then I'm sorry. That means, and I won't get ahead of myself if you didn't watch, or I'm sorry, if you didn't, that sounds mean. If you didn't see the beginning, they went over how, well, he was an atheist, but one time he was reading the Bible, and it said in the Bible that God had revealed himself to everyone.
You have no excuse.
It's why he said atheists don't exist. He was one of those, literally there is one of those.
Is that the reason?
Assert, huh?
Is that the reason? I didn't pick
He didn't
up
really
on that.
go into, well, he mentioned that, but he didn't go into the reasons why he converted.
What's funny is while we're talking about it, it almost sounds like it, but no, he really didn't roundabout ways. He just seems to have said he knew once he read it. But that means if you have read the Quran and it said,
right,
you know that Muhammad was his prophet, the last one, and there is only the service of Allah, which is just Arabic for God. But
and that brings us back to what I said, where he isn't looking for the right reason of why he's here, and he's just looking for a reason. Whoever gives him a reason and says, "Hey, you can believe this, and you have a reason," is fine.
And if anything,
we need more than that.
That is just, if that is his actual reason, that's not an argument. That is like the same thing that presuppers do. It's like, oh my God, I figured I should just assume my God. Duh.
But how does it sound like to say that, like, guys, Amy, I found the truth out of all the religion. I found the one truth, the one real God.
One real one.
It just happens to be the God that is most widely worshipped in the culture that I grew up in. Of all cultures, of all gods, I found myself in the right one. Imagine that. What are the odds?
As Tim Minchin would say, an endless parade of gods. Through all this endless parade, you happen to stumble across the right one. What are the chances?
If I could interrupt you both, Tim Minchin is actually evidence that a guy liner is sexy. What were we talking about?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I've distracted everyone with the dancing spiders.
I will.
I think the spiders are amazing. Yeah, I fully.
Thanks, Donald.
Spider-orientated segment.
No, I think I've distracted everyone in the chat because I linked it as well, so they're listening to the Bee Gees.
Oh, look.
Staying alive, yeah.
I still support this spider-orientated segment. I absolutely.
I support the Bee Gees.
The biggest aspect of what does grind my gears is the use of the word naturalism and saying natural and supernatural when it's really just reality and outside of reality is the better way of describing it.
Sure. Or reality, not reality.
Well, your example of the beaver dam is the the beaver dam is still a natural occurrence because they're
Sure.
just following the nature.
Well,
You could also say it's not a natural occurrence.
Hold on,
It's a manufactured.
Well, it's an artifact.
In that sense, I'm not using natural as opposed to supernatural or outside nature. I'm using natural as opposed to artificial. So there's two different contexts of the word natural we're using here. Natural as opposed to a supernatural or an external to nature or something that
Part of the natural world.
It like, you know, if I make a house out of wood, it's still part of the natural world. But
I read this story. There's pigs. There's a wolf. Never mind.
This is why I
Are you calling me a pig? Is that what you're saying, Amy? Wow.
No.
Wow.
How dare you? I will never come on.
And here I was thinking Amy did the squealing.
You stupid ape.
Oh yeah, well,
That's
and if I may
interesting.
say, I will say, just to defend pigs, they are highly intelligent animals. They get
They
shit
are,
on
yes.
by, I guess, the Jews and the Muslims.
And
for
each
the
other.
law,
I mean,
wish,
they're really
well,
good.
and each other. Well, that's another thing. But I wish they were like I wish they didn't eat pigs for the right reasons. Like, they're just so smart. They're so clean. They're just so holy. I wish it was. I mean, I eat cows, but at least I understand why the Hindus don't have respect for animals, even if you eat them. My gosh, at least if you're gonna, is it a Louis C.K. joke? He's like, if the cow had to choose between you eating them or you having to, let's just say, perform acts, I know which one the cow would vote for, the goat would vote for. That's not my joke, but
I don't know. Well, I'm not a vegan, and I'm, you know, I don't. I would defend eating, but you know,
I would separate that line. I always say, I just want to draw people to like a middle ground of sanity, because it's not even pro or anti-vegan. It is literally these creationists think the animals were poofed into existence so they could do other animal things. I don't know. So they could be predators and non-predators and all sorts of stuff just for us.
Well, and that's the problem, that they think that the animals are there as sort of a, well, we're going to give you this resource, not one that should be respected, and sort of we have to look out for how much resources we're using and manage them as a species, because it hasn't just been created magically for our own enjoyment. It's something that can go away. Species go extinct all the time. We can even extinct ourselves, and that's the big problem. They think that humanity is this exceptional, special circumstance that is in some way unique, and it's kind of, well, yeah, kind of, but there's no reason why it has to be.
If I could just bounce off that, I mean, it's the George Carlin joke that it's like everyone thinks it's the end of the world. No, it's not. It's the end of you guys. We're going away, taking a trip. The Earth, the planet, they're going to do just fine.
Yeah.
The world's going to keep on spinning. And in fact, you could say even in some scenarios, the Earth would recover, heal. There'd be other niches to fill. There'd be new things. But I love humans. I'm rooting for us to continue to build and stuff. I just want to, we just want to knock people off the high horse a little bit when they try to put themselves above other animals. I mean, once again, not going total vegan. Animals eat other animals. We are animals. We are omnivores. And when we die one day, either there will be animals and plants that eat us, whether you consider that worms or bacteria or viruses, they will consume us.
Absolutely.
So,
and that's cool.
To figure out if the great filter
exactly.
And we're not even
ahead of us.
We're not even the most successful organism on the planet. There is no way humans are the most. bacteria are the most successful organism on the planet. We can't even live without bacteria in our stomachs.
I call it a brain bias that we have this
Absolutely.
thing that we just think we are the top shit. I'm trying to coin a fallacy. It's the "we gone to the moon" fallacy. It's no. I mean, come on. I
How many trees are there
understand
compared to
that
humans?
you know, the elephant can do this and the squid can do this, but have they gone to the moon? Well, have you gone to the moon, Bob? No. So
Can you survive 20,000 feet under the sea with no apparatus?
exactly.
Yeah.
No.
There's-
Can you
can
survive
you-
in the stomach of another organism and reproduce?
I mean, there's some bacteria that can survive in a nuclear reactor. Do I see you doing that? When's the last time you survived in a nuclear reactor?
Hold on, I have to.
Oh, she's gonna whip out
I
the
can't
tardigrade.
help it.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
tardigrades. They're
Tardigrades,
amazing. They can survive almost anywhere. They're extremophiles, just like Mark was explaining. And
Yep.
they look like water bears. Well, I think that's why they become so popular. Is they're a very small microorganism, and yet they're adorable.
Well, we have to figure out if the great filter is behind us or ahead of us. Are we bound to destroy ourselves somehow, or have we made it? Is multicellularity that great filter? Is that the big gap and we already passed it, or are we destined to destroy ourselves?
Okay.
I don't
just
think so.
have
I
to
got
say-
a lot of hope for humanity, actually. I think that humans, being incredibly smart and the ability to pass on information, to do all of these amazing things, I got a lot of hope for us, actually.
I tend to think we're past that great filter, but
I don't think there is a great filter. I think that there's always the possibility for sort of a species to snuff it, basically. I mean, if there is some kind of catastrophe you see out in the universe there, galaxies hitting one another. If something like that happens to the Milky Way galaxy, none of us will survive it, and it's highly
Exactly.
unlikely.
And
going to
our
have the
Milky
same.
Way galaxy will end when it
Right.
collides
merges with Andromeda in a few million
right.
years, or
No,
So,
it's
I mean,
14 billion.
yeah.
20 billion.
Well,
14 billion.
and our solar system will come to an end mostly, for the most part, when the sun red giants, at least most of life, if we're
Right.
still on Earth, is going to end. So we need.
Right. Which
Well,
I
we
don't
get-
think will be the case. I think that humans will overcome that and expand outwards, and I think it's
Well, I'm
anybody's guess what happens.
I definitely think so.
But we can only
Europa,
do.
baby. All about
Well,
Europa.
we can only do the best we can and address these problems as they come. But pretending we're
Sure.
something special and that some non-existent figure is going to save us in the event that all this happens.
Can I not only agree with you more? I think when we start to think that we're the special thing, it starts to hold us back.
Yes,
Like,
absolutely.
Well,
I've learned so much just from searching for a naturalistic view of consciousness. When they assume that it is this thing, and once again, it's a key word. You should always be careful when people say consciousness. But all the evidence so far for consciousness, abiogenesis, and I don't know why quantum mechanics is highly proved. Since the 50s, Beamsy? How long? Something like that.
1952 is when they actually started investigating into it.
And so, yeah. And I will say also, we have maybe just a few more minutes. So we're about to go into outros. It has been a fantastic Skeptic and Ranting. This was a video. James, Mark, Beamsy. It started so well. He was, and then it just.
We have
It started so well, pulling up in his mouth.
We have
he did start well for a good couple of minutes where he
it was like he was trying to steelman us, and then but it was one of those I have been an atheist so long. The example I gave, Bill Burr says, every hate mail, okay? You want to give yourself credibility before you shit on someone, okay? You're about to tell someone how terrible they are, so you need to tell them that they have great shoes and you used to dress like them.
Look, we all do it. Like when we're about to shit on Christians. I've got nothing against Christians. I like Christians. I have a few of them that I really like and get along with, and you're couching up with, don't think I'm a prick, but you're just...
And I'll agree. I mean, I have to consistently say, I try and have to draw with as big a brush as possible, or attack with as small a brush as possible. But yeah, I agree.
We have religious people, though, who say things like that we don't have to worry about things like global warming or climate change and things like that. Because don't worry, because we know how the world is going to end. It's because God's going to come back and all that's going to happen. So we don't have to worry about anything because God's in control.
In fact, to be the final topic, and I'll just let everyone round robin so that we can actually do our outros on the absurdity of atheism. But one of the most dangerous things that I find from the Abrahamic religion specifically is this alleviation of the fear of death. I find that so much trouble actually stems from it. Bad decisions, whether you're not saving money because you think that you're gonna get off or not getting health insurance, all the way
in your education,
to a medium level of harm, to where you are rooting for the apocalypse to happen and actually wanting the end of days to come on, to, I would say, the harmful, to, you're bombing something, or you are flying
to start World War
into or trying to start World War III, all of these types of things. And so my question, just round robin, I feel alleviation of the fear of death. Any thoughts on that?
I think it's the fundamental motivation behind that pushes them to accept these religious claims based on tenuous evidence, no real tangible evidence, but they're so drawn to it because it does give them that it alleviates that fear in their mind, whether it's rational or not. It does seem to have that effect.
Well, it's comforting. It's comforting to think that I'm not going to die and that I am will not cease to exist. I mean, it's like believing that you're going to win the lottery tomorrow, or
we like
something.
Existing.
Right. It's sort of, it's comforting to think that. Nobody likes the idea of them, ending their existence, but whether believing in something that may not be true can lead you down all sorts of weird decisions that
absolutely
aren't practical. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of, I guess, once you accept death, and I mean, we've gone to a real morbid topic, so thanks for that, Amy.
I hear Norm Macdonald in the back of my head. He's just here for them morbid bits.
Well, I mean, once you accept, yes, someday I will no longer exist, a part of it is disquieting, but part of it's comforting as well, because you can say, hey, you'll no longer see your loved ones and stuff, but you won't suffer either.
You won't miss
there's no suffering, and because you don't have a nervous system to feel anything. Your brain isn't going to be going over all of the dumb things you said during your life because you won't have a brain.
Right.
In a way, it is comforting to think that all of this, and it makes life that much more precious. It makes the quality of life more precious. If this is just a trial run for the next world, which is going to be perfect, then who cares what people think of you, or what kind of connection you have to people? But if this is your one and only life, then it really matters the people that you sort of have in your life that you love, and the relationships that you have and the way that you treat people, because that's part of sort of a totality that makes up humanity that's going to go on into the future without you. But how you act actually influences that. You know, what you say and how you treat people does influence that, even a tiny bit.
Yeah, especially if you think that you only need to make amends with God for the
Right.
doing something wrong to someone and not the actual person in this life.
Right.
And Beamsy, did you have a thought on this? And then you're actually going to start our
Lead us on.
topics on outros. Exactly. You're going to start us off.
It all stems from the aspect of both selfishness and fear of the unknown.
Indeed.
That's mostly where it comes down to when you think about why people fear it and why people want it to continue.
It is the unknown. Yeah.
It's also an aspect of selfishness that I deserve better than what I have now.
That's right. I always say, I always ask, do you feel like you're entitled? Do you feel like you to a second life? Because to me, that's kind of silly. I am so thankful that I even get to be alive and a conscious organism.
It is great to be alive.
Exactly.
I mean, naturally, we don't want it
It's
to
like
end.
eating ice cream and complaining that you're not going to eat it, going to be able to eat it twice. I don't know.
So you're saying you not only don't feel entitled to a second life, you don't feel entitled to the first one either.
No, I love life. I think no.
I'm talking about entitlement. Do you automatically?
I just think that
intrinsically
people.
deserve to have
I think that people that believe in an afterlife, I think they should just ask themselves, you know, why can't I just appreciate and that actually now look. It's easy for me also to say here in a country that has a lot of wealth, even though even with its our disparities, though our poor are fat. So that should show you what kind of country. So we lost my train of thought after fat.
Entitlement to this
burgers.
life.
I think you need to, especially if you do have a good life and have been played a good hand, you should enjoy it. And I think you should help others, but you know, at least enjoy it. I don't think you're going to get another. And with that, I think that happy note, which it actually should be, celebrate life. It is about the journey. That is the entire point.
Some cultures celebrate death as well. I like the Mexican tradition of going down. What is it?
Saint
Leo
Death.
Tomatos.
Yeah, it's nice.
I will say this. First of all, what Beamsy has wanted to share, but I'm afraid the TOS gods, but very specifically to get stuck in your head. While the spiders are dancing, they are saying, staying alive.
Not this time.
Not this time. That's true.
That's another song.
But it's like I am linking so many.
The Mamba.
La 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 bamba.
Nope.
Oh, no. Listen, we are going into our outros. You are like the memes will be delivered. Into the Spider-Verse we go. There will be memes. We are going actually into our outros and then into the after show in Discord.
Claire spammed me a bunch of secular Karanis memes, and I sent her like, "Oh yes, there will be memes." And she's like, "I don't have just memes. I have good arguments too." I'm sure you do, Claire.
Claire is a meme. Let's be real here.
Yeah. Allah bless her.
That's right. Gesundheit. And with
like,
that,
I don't
ladies
even
and
know
gentlemen,
if it's true. Maybe it's not, but I don't care.
Well, she does it. First of all, I have yet to meet a Muslim, a actual fundamentalist Muslim, who has told me that God talked back to them. That is a and Jesus, friendly Muslim. You have literally all right. Yeah, Allah, are you here? Do you am I queer? We're gonna bring you in for like a minute, and then you're gonna start. Then you're gonna start off our intro outro.
Intro, outro.
Yeah,
Friendly
let's do an
Muslim.
intro outro. You're gonna start us off, friendly Muslim. We're gonna bring you in, but to say what you want on the topic and everything, you're gonna say hello and goodbye. So you're gonna be a Beatles song. We are going to do this. We are going into
Here
our
comes the sun.
outros. We have been skeptic and ranting on.
Send in the mime.
We're sending in the mimes, and we have been talking the absurdity of atheism. Oh my!
This mime is straighter than Amy.
What is up, friendly Muslim? Thank you for joining us. We have been skeptic and ranting on, oh my, the absurdity of atheism. I hope you are well. And what are your thoughts about the topic or anything we've been talking about tonight?
Yes, atheism, and it's absurd to be an atheist. That are my thoughts on this atheism. But no, why am I missing these things? What day are this? It's absurd that I keep on missing these things. Is there a set time? Am I missing?
So I'll tell you that we should be making set times, and hopefully that happens in the future. But it has been a pain in the tuchus for just matching our works and stuff. But we've been creating some fun. I have to ask: is it early for you?
I just slept in. I mean, I normally I'm up late and
Where are you at?
I'm kind of on a thing, but this morning I kind of just slept in a little bit, and I woke up and I saw you, and I missed you yesterday. I was looking forward to you at EA Dower. I actually even said, I was like, oh, Amy should be back.
Can I say that
You might not be a regular there.
That's complicated.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I like. So hold on one second. So like, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know if I need to do a video. I have been wanting to.
I would wait.
Wait.
I wouldn't jump the gun.
Okay. Well, I don't want to jump the gun. I just we've dealt with this. You may not know who he is on a very smoky-like channel, so we're trying to figure this out. I mean, I don't know. I have always wanted to try and convince Khalil in a manner that I thought was respectful and with intelligence. You know what? That's it to be continued. And stick around for a friendly man. No! Why would not at all? I mean, we've been talking about it. Go check out. I'm just going to send out to both the Atheist Network group, sending love to Oz and sending love to Rage. The Raging Atheist, they both had good takes on this. If you want to know what I'm talking about, they're probably fairly recent streams. And all right, I'm going to go right back on. Friendly Muslim, welcome. We have been skeptic and ranting. In fact, we have been talking about the absurdity of atheism. What are your thoughts about anything we've been talking about? And then I also have a question about about your beliefs at the end.
Okay, I mean, atheism, we were talking about different things, and I've just come on, and atheism has a place, but also God has a place. And I think both arguments can be as valid at stages. And so I'll leave it there because I've just come up. So is it absurd? Maybe to the believing man, not believing in God is absurd. To the atheist, are we absurd for believing in an unseen God? Sure, I can get it too. So I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for taking me in, and I'll welcome the outros.
Well, and I just have one question for you, friendly Muslim.
Sure.
And I'm going to try to not have follow-ups. It'll be to be continued. I'm going to try and be a good gal. So I've asked a few Muslims recently. I've been on apologist and Dawa channels, and I just really want to know. You have I find it easy, and I find from believers they say they have spoken to God, but I really want to know: has God spoken back?
That's a very good question, and I've
Hey,
got
hey.
I've got a very good answer for it, and it's actually a complicated one. So this
Oh,
will be
yeah.
continued. But yes, yeah. But the answer is yeah, and I'll explain on a later show. But yeah, so to be continued, my friends.
All right. Thank you
got
so
talked
very
back.
much,
Okay, we got the
friendly
answer.
Muslim. No, he said yes, but a good answer, an explanation for that. And hey, I just like when any person doesn't answer like a politician, at least for a yes or no. But to be
Hey.
continued. And stick around if you'd like after show, and we're going right down. We're gonna get Mark, and then I want to send a super chat, then Beamsy and James, myself. We're going down for outros. Mark Reed, what is up? We have been skeptic and ranting about apparently the absurdity of atheism. I have
We
to
have.
know, are you feeling a little crazy?
Am I feeling a little absurd? No, not at all.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I did like what Friendly Muslim had to say. Like maybe to a believer, I might seem absurd, but really, we're talking about an inherent absurdness, an irrationality, and illogical position, basically one that under any worldview would not make sense. So sort of something that has an inherent logical contradiction, I would imagine. I don't think that good old Christopher, what was his name? Christopher Avell. Yeah, no, I don't think he basically addressed that at all. He didn't really address any absurdity, such as sort of a reductio ad absurdum or anything like that. What he more did was just point out areas of his own incredulity. He couldn't believe that the universe could be natural, therefore he calls it absurd. There's nothing in an atheistic argument which is absurd or illogical about that. He basically just said, oh, well, here's a straw man. Isn't this straw man ridiculous? Well, that's not actually what atheists believe. And again, he just sort of made incredulity statements about where he thought that atheism couldn't explain things, or a naturalistic view of the world couldn't explain things, which is just his personal incredulity. Thank you so much for having me on. I've really enjoyed this one. And actually, I was really fascinated by Friendly Muslim saying that, like, yes, but not really in the way that you're thinking. I really want to talk about that, but I don't have time. I'm sorry.
That would be great on another show, though.
Yeah, if you're ever on another show, Friendly Muslim, I'd love to, figure out whether you're being communicated in some way that's not audible or not sensory or something like that. No, I'd really find that fascinating. But fantastic to be here. Do like and subscribe to Amy's stream if you haven't already. Hit that like. And the bell icon will let you know when things are coming up. At least it'll give you notifications when she does post it. Maybe you can do that, Friendly Muslim. If you hit the bell, it might tell you. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody out there.
Thank you so very much, Mark. And don't forget to check Mark out both on Modern Day Debate and our debate channel here, or debate show, Debate Me Brah. Thank you so very much, Debate Me Brah. And I also want to send a lot of love out there to Sudan. Woohoo!
Thanks,
Thank
Sudan.
you. $2 saying, Ju told me to love me. Bu ba July jeweler. I could not agree more.
Thank you.
I'm just sending love to pseudonym and all of our atheists, all of our brothers and sisters out there for the support, for the love. Boom, 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 boom. Because it has been a great stream. And sending love to Mark. But Beamsy was going to be our intro act. He's become our headliner. So we are going to keep on going down the list. Night, Mark. And I share the thing with Friendly Muslim. We really want more theists, especially the Abrahamic variety. We like the back and forth, the getting to know, better views. It sharpens our own epistemological toolkit. But yes, with that, Beamsy, we have been skeptic and ranting on the absurdity of atheism. I hope you have had a fantastic time. And what are your final thoughts?
Somehow I feel like I'm being repressed that I was the first one out, but now I'm the last.
Yeah, look, like I said, you're just our headliner.
But the aspect of absurdity is, if you think about it within quantum mechanics, it says that we could pass through a physical object. On our own level, on a Newtonian level, that makes absolutely no sense and seems absurd. But if you go down to a quantum level, it happens all the time. So the aspect of absurdity is sort of a misnomer. And also, as I said before, the aspect of using natural and unnatural or supernatural or ubernatural or anything along those lines is just bad wording, as Mark gave an example of, that the idea of what is natural and what is supernatural, or what is natural within the world, can change depending on what definition you use. And that's why it's better to define things within reality and outside of reality when you're talking about aspects of belief.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And send love out there to some spiders.
Well, apparently these are the cutest spiders in the world.
Aww. Oh, it does kind of look like a Pikachu. Okay, I see it. See, I can't help it. I understand both that they're both terrifying and adorable at the same time. They can be both. It's not a dichotomy.
Not at all.
And all right, thank you so very much, Beamsy. It was lovely having you on as always.
Oh, good.
And okay, we are handing the keys to the co-pilot, James W. You definitely brought a juicy burger because
You brought the heat
the
today.
spice, exactly. But I have to ask, are you feeling a little bit crazier? Have you been convinced of the absurdity of atheism?
Oh, we're totally absurd. We're probably certifiably insane. We should probably be kept in padded rooms and straitjackets because we don't pick up a book, their book, and arbitrarily choose to just believe it because it says so. I guess that qualifies us as insane. So we probably should just convert to Christianity. I don't know. What do you think? It's
Makes sense.
the only logical thing to do. And then we get to live forever because it says so. But anyway, guys, so thanks for coming on this journey with us. Please stop believing. We will be back.
Stop
Believing.
believing.
Don't forget, Amy's got a debate next Thursday on the most exclusive channel on YouTube. Like, once again, I don't know how she was able to get on there, but she pulled it off. She'll be debating on Brett Keene's channel with Ken Hovind. I'll be debating on Standing for Truth the week after that on the 20th, Friday night. Be there or be square. Thanks, guys.
Woo-hoo! Thank you,
Bye-bye.
James and Gizmo. Oh, God. I love that face.
That
I'm going to say
smile.
it every time. It is, because he does.
Yeah,
He looks like
the way
he's
he is.
happy to be on there.
He's
But
just a chill
okay.
cat. He loves it. He's just the chillest cat in the world.
I hope that you all had a fun time, misfits and all, on this skeptic and ranting the Absurdity of Atheism, where we watched a video called The Absurdity of Atheism. Chris Avell from the channel, Bible study weekly on Zoom. Oh man, we got competition, James. Along
Eating Bible study, go figure.
with our commentary on top. Oh my goddess. Dun, 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 dun. But yes, I do, however, want to thank my co-host, James W., along with our guests, Mark, Beamsy, and Friendly, as well as the people in chat, our awesome mods who make this stream so great, and lovely viewers like you who make this channel even possible. If
The best
you
viewers we have.
enjoyed
We
the
have the
best, you enjoyed the show, please don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe.
All the above.
And then hit the bell icon so that you can join our live streams or see our premieres, or hey, leave a comment once the video's done. After the show, we will be heading over to the Skeptic and Ranting Discord server, the link of which is in the description below. Lastly, if you'd like to help us make even more fun content, we offer some perks for our supporters by checking out our Patreon at patreon.com/Amy Newman. I am Amy Newman, and we will see you all on the next episode of Skeptic Ball Z. Good night, everyone. Mwah.
Good night, Athena.